Chapter 635. Tiger in the Road. I miss Cece. I can't be with her, but it's good to see you and Imperial Uncle together. Lovers should be together rather than suffer. You must be with Imperial Uncle. I will. Su Yingxue entered the 9th prince's mansion. The old steward and Emochi had been waiting for her with tearful eyes. Emochi almost knelt in front of her. Miss Su, why are you only here now? Your Highness, I'm late. Where is your Highness? Su Yingxue was also anxious. The 9th prince's mansion was huge, but Chu Yihan usually stayed in the study room and bedroom. If he was in a good mood, he would be in the study. If he was in a bad mood, he would be in the study. It was probably the man's stubborn habit. Emochi led Su Yingxue to the study room. Su Yingxue had walked this path many times, but this time, she felt danger. Roar. Before she could get close, a vigorous white figure jumped out and blocked her way. Its tiger roar just now was even more terrifying. A weaker noble lady would have fainted from fear long ago at this moment, frightened by Shan Bao. Su Yingxue's legs also shook symbolically. Shan Bao raised its head and roared at her. Roar. It meant blocking the way. It opened its bloody mouth as if it were saying that it could swallow Su Yingxue's head. Shan Bao, Miss Su has no time for you. She wants to find your Highness now. Go back to Tiger Mountain and sleep. Emochi commanded it. It was a tiger that only had intelligence. It had always been cold and aloof, and it listened to Chu Yihan's words. It would never hurt people at will. Therefore, Tiger Mountain did not have any defenses against him. It could move around. Shan Bao ignored Emochi's words and used its claws to smash a rock in front of it. The power of the tiger claw was extraordinary. Emochi looked at the powder under Shan Bao's claws and looked at Su Yingxue helplessly. Miss Su, Shan Bao will listen to your Highness. In other words, if Shan Bao didn't make way, she probably wouldn't be able to see Chu Yihan. Su Yingxue should be afraid of tigers. Moreover, her interactions with Shan Bao previously were not very pleasant. The old steward also ordered the white tiger not to move. To prevent Su Yingxue from getting hurt, he kindly advised, Miss Su, it's getting late today. Why don't you stay in the residence for the night and have a good talk with your Highness tomorrow? The old steward knew that Chu Yihan favored Su Yingxue to a certain extent. Your Highness would only blame him for keeping Su Yingxue behind without permission. But Su Yingxue didn't. Although she was afraid of Shan Bao, she still mustered her courage and took a step forward, trying to communicate with it. Shan Bao, you can understand human language, right? Roar. Shan Bao rolled its eyes and bared its teeth at her. Looking down on a tiger? Even dogs could become humans' dear friends and listen obediently. It was the king of beasts, the white tiger. How could it not understand a few words of human language? Su Yingxue was looking down on it. Su Yingxue saw its reaction and smiled. Shan Bao, let's make a deal. Can you let me go in and meet your Highness? Roar. He roared at Su Yingxue's face. It was an obvious rejection. Su Yingxue tried to pat its head, but as soon as she reached out her hand, Shan Bao clawed at it. Fortunately, Su Yingxue dodged quickly, or else her hand would have been broken. Shan Bao touched its face and turned its butt towards Su Yingxue, raising its tail. Disdain. Su Yingxue gritted her teeth. Shan Bao, let me tell you. Today, you have to make way, even if you don't want to. Chapter 636. Tame it with your own abilities, roar. Shan Bao jumped in front of Su Yingxue and opened its bloody mouth. The sharpness of its teeth was terrifying. The more it jumped, the closer Su Yingxue got to it. Come on if you dare bite me. Scratch me. Try to touch me. Shan Bao was surprised by her action. Shan Bao licked its paws, seemingly ready to attack. Emochi was concerned about Su Yingxue's safety, so he kindly reminded her, Miss Su, why don't you meet your Highness tomorrow? Shan Bao only listens to your Highness. He had been Shan Bao's caretaker for so long, yet he never received a kind look from it. Su Yingxue wasn't acquainted with it, and if Shan Bao bit her, it would be unjust. If I can't tame it, why should I be with your Highness? Su Yingxue lifted the hem of her dress and glared at Shan Bao. She took another step closer to it. Come on, I want to go in and see your highness today. Are you going to let me in or not? Shan Bao shook its tiger head. It wouldn't allow it. A trace of pride flashed across Su Yingshu's eyes. This tiger was very ferocious, but it did not dare to bite her. She took another step forward, and Shan Bao retreated again. As she prepared to take the third step, Shan Bao turned fierce. Its menacing demeanor was terrifying to anyone. Su Yingshu's heart trembled, but she spotted Chu Yihan's figure in the study window. He was still there. She couldn't back down from this stinky tiger. Su Yingshu didn't care how Shan Bao shouted or scared her. She just kept walking forward. Shan Bao wanted to pounce on her, so she simply stood where she was. When she saw Shan Bao pounce on her, she even fed it with her hand. If you dare to eat, go ahead. Roar. Shan Bao had rolled sideways and fallen to the ground, rolling and gathering dust before rising unceremoniously. It gritted its teeth. How hateful! It was a disgrace to its very existence, unable to even intimidate a woman. This woman must have nerves of steel. Su Yingshu, seeing Shan Bao moping behind her with resentful eyes, knew for sure that it was merely bluffing, not daring to harm her for real. It was Chu Yihan's tiger, naturally obedient to Chu Yihan. Chu Yihan still cared for her deeply. Even the untamed Shan Bao was now compliant. Shan Bao lay on the ground, eyes full of resentment, belly growling with hunger. It couldn't allow her to approach, yet it couldn't harm her either. Its flesh was gone just like that. What a pitiful white tiger. Steward, please fetch some meat. Su Yingshu squatted before Shan Bao, offering a sweet smile. Shan Bao disdainfully turned its head aside. A male, it admired female animals, not humans. It wasn't a sucker for flattery. The old steward swiftly arranged for 10 pounds of meat to be brought in, all fresh. Su Yingshu emptied a bucket of meat before Shan Bao and patted its tiger head. Feast, it's an extra meal. Shan Bao's tiger eyes gleamed. So generous? However, it had integrity. It was not so easily swayed. It turned its head away, refusing Su Yingshu's kindness. Su Yingshu tilted her head, producing a small bottle from her sleeve. She sprinkled its contents over the meat, emitting an irresistible fragrance despite being raw. Shan Bao's saliva dripped down as it glared at Su Yingshu. Woman, you're immoral. Are you trying to tempt it like this? Would it just accept it? Kakik, Shan Bao crunched on the ribs, relishing each bite. After devouring the meat, it savored the delicacy. Chapter 637. Staying in Chu Yihan's study, Su Yingshu rubbed its head affectionately and said, "Eat obediently. Don't stop me in the future. 111 come to give you extra food every day." Shan Bao ignored her, but it had already made up its mind. Blocking people wasn't a job suitable for a majestic purebred white tiger. Su Yingshu crossed Shan Bao and went straight to Chu Yihan's study room, pushing the door open. Bang! She collided with the door, which Chu Yihan had locked tightly. She almost knocked her teeth out. "Your Highness, your door is too sturdy. Can you open it?" Su Yingshu rubbed her red nose. It hurt a little. There was no sound from inside, but Su Yingshu saw Chu Yihan's figure reflected in the window. He was still there. He was probably just angry. Su Yingshu thought to herself that she had to think of a way to get him to open the door. Otherwise, how could he explain it? In the study room, Chu Yihan held a military book. He hadn't flipped a single page the entire night. Naturally, he hadn't read a single word of the book. His mind was filled with Su Yingshu. She was already outside the door. However, he was angry and didn't want to open the door for some reason. If only Su Yingshu could say a few words softly and act coquettishly. He might want to open the door and look at the moon tonight. However, after sitting for a while, other than Su Yingshu knocking on the door, there was no sound from outside. Chu Yihan's heart sank. She left. Had she been busy in the palace for Xiaoyu and only came to look for him now? How long had it been? Did she lose patience and leave? The anger that Chu Yihan had suppressed with great difficulty instantly flared up again. It seemed that she and Xiaoyu were not simple. Chu Yihan's eyes darkened. He was flipping through the military book when he heard a woman's scream outside the door. "Oh, Su Yingshu, Chu Yihan's figure flew to the door. As soon as he opened it, a soft and warm little person jumped into his arms. Su Yingxue stuck her head out and held his face. Her pink cherry lips contained a trace of grievance as she said, "Your Highness, it's so cold outside. Can I come in?" Chu Yihan wanted to throw her out. She was deliberately scaring him. His eyes were cold. "Come down." "No. It's cold outside, Your Highness' body is warm." Su Yingxue wrapped her legs around Chu Yihan. This position was very comfortable, and Chu Yihan's body was warm. She didn't want to come down and enjoy the cold wind. "You're a genius, Dr. Su, and you're skilled. Why are you afraid of the cold? Come down." Chu Yihan's eyes were filled with frustration. As he spoke, he pulled her down. Su Yingxue had no choice but to cling to him again. This time, she wrapped her arms around his neck and leaned against his chest. Su Yingxue started to act shamelessly. The genius doctor is also human. Humans are afraid of the cold. One think Your Highness is also afraid of the cold. Let me help you warm up. She said it very confidently. Unfortunately, Chu Yihan, who was in a fit of anger, did not fall for her trick. He pulled hard and Su Yingxue was separated from him. Chu Yihan pushed her out of the room and was about to close the door. However, the moonlight tonight was too bright. When he raised his head, he saw Su Yingxue's red nose. "What happened?" Chu Yihan asked, feeling distressed. Could it be that he was bullied in noble Consort Xiao's palace? Su Yingxue pouted, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito's. "I didn't expect Your Highness to close the door. When I pounced over just now, I bumped into the door." Chu Yihan laughed coldly. "Su Yingxue, are you that stupid? There are still many times when I'm stupid. For example, I didn't tell Your Highness before entering the palace today and was schemed together with Your Highness. When Your Highness left the palace, one didn't catch up and caused you to be angry for an entire day. It's all because of my stupidity." Chapter 638, Marry You, okay? Su Yingxue drooped her head as her pair of beautiful red eyes blinked, making people's hearts flutter. Chu Yihan sneered. "You're not too stupid to recognize this, but you're wrong about one thing. I don't have time to be angry with you for a day." "Your Highness, you're not angry anymore? That's great." Su Yingxue jumped into the study room and closed the door behind her. Chu Yihan's expression turned even colder when he saw how excited she was. This was a house, but it was even colder than the winter outside. Su Yingxue immediately jumped onto Chu Yihan. She hugged him and explained softly, "It's best if Your Highness isn't angry, but you have to know that there's nothing between Xiao Yu and me. Because the Xiao family has provided Grandpa with a lot of military supplies, and because of noble Consort Xiao's request, I agreed to cure his illness. Today, it was purely because of the Empress and your sinister nephew's scheme." When Chu Qingye was mentioned, Su Yingxue wanted to tear him apart. When Chu Yihan heard this, his arms that were hanging by his side supported Su Yingxue's body. Su Yingxue nodded. Chu Yihan snapped, "If I don't hold you up, do you want to fall?" "I don't want to." Su Yingxue shook her head repeatedly. "Your Highness, lift me a little. I'll lean on your face to keep warm." Chu Yihan's stunning face became more and more pleasing to the eye the more he looked at it. The more he looked at it, the more he wanted to get close to it. It was a pleasure that he could not enjoy anymore. Chu Yihan did as she said and let her legs wrap around his waist, allowing her to hover above his body. Since Su Yingxue had the upper hand, she naturally wouldn't be polite to Chu Yihan. His eyebrows, his cheeks, his thin lips, every part of them had her kiss imprinted on them. Su Yingxue's lips landed on Chu Yihan's, and her breath was like orchids. "Your Highness, can you not be angry anymore? Anger is bad for the body." She also couldn't bear to. Chu Yihan's breathing became heavy. No matter how angry he was today, Su Yingxue's soft words were enough to resolve it. His heart was warmed by her. Chu Yihan nodded. "Yes. Your Highness is the most righteous. After I treat Xiao Yu, I will make it up to you." Su Yingxue smiled and covered his lips again. This time, she had a new attempt. No man could withstand such teasing, let alone Chu Yihan, who loved her to the bone. The kiss deepened, and their positions changed. Chu Yihan's sexy voice enveloped her like a hot spring. How are you going to make it up to me, huh? I marry you, is that okay? Su Yingshu's pretty face was flushed red. Her pearly white teeth gently bit her pink lips. It was a beautiful scene that could make one's blood boil. Chu Yihan kissed her fiercely. All right, I'll take this compensation, but you... As soon as possible. People kept appearing around her, causing her trouble. He did not want to miss her again. I promise your highness I will definitely. As soon as possible. Su Yingxue bit her lips slightly. As long as Xiao Yu came back to life, she would make a deal with him. She would let him forget about Chu Yihan hurting him, and she would be willing to cooperate with the Xiao family. Then, she would immediately report to her grandpa about her relationship with Chu Yihan. Regardless of whether her grandpa would agree or not, she would not hesitate. The air was filled with lingering emotions. Chu Yihan held her in his arms and gently patted her back. I was reckless today. One will explain this to the Xiao family. You don't have to worry. Chapter 639. Xiao Yu poisoned Su Yingxue lay on his chest and smiled sweetly. Your Highness, you don't have to blame yourself. I've already saved Xiao Yu today, so he'll be fine. However, since the Empress and Chu Qingye have taken action, I don't think Xiao Yu will be able to stay in Jiangdu City in peace. Why don't I work with him? You want to work with him? When Chu Yihan heard this, a hint of displeasure appeared on his face. Su Yingxue knew that he cared, but she had no choice but to explain the matter clearly. Instead of being targeted, they might as well take the initiative to attack and make Chu Qingye, the prince, and the empress get lost. In the Qilin Garden, Su Yingxue went to treat Xiao Yu the next day. Her acupuncture technique was superb and could relieve Xiao Yu's pain and restore his spirit. At the same time, Su Yingxue helped him expel a portion of the poisonous blood in his body. Miss Su, what's going on? Why is young master's blood this color? Xiao Si stared in astonishment at the copper basin, where the blood flowing from Xiao Yu's wrist was a dark purple. Su Yingxue, unaware of the Xiao family's circumstances and unsure of Xiao Si's loyalty to Xiao Yu, instructed, go find the 9th prince and hand this over to him. I'll continue administering acupuncture to your young master. But, although Xiao Si was very worried, he knew his boundaries and promptly delivered the items Su Yingxue had given him to Chu Jinling. Once she left, Su Yingxue closed the door and explained to Xiao Yu, I'm not familiar with the situation in your Xiao family, so I won't easily let anyone know about your illness. I had to send him away. Xiao Yu nodded, his sickly handsome face retaining its usual coldness. You're right, but is my blood due to internal injuries? No, it's from poisoning. Su Yingxue pointed to the blood in the copper basin and clarified, yesterday your highness injured you. I helped remove the blood clot from your chest, which was bright red. But this basin of dark blood is tainted by toxins accumulated in your body. Poisoned? Xiao Yu's eyes held scrutiny as he looked at Su Yingxue meaningfully. Su Yingxue could sense his guardedness and said, it's understandable if you don't believe me. After all, despite seeing many doctors since childhood, none of them detected the poisoning. But I can assure you, your poor health since childhood isn't due to congenital factors but rather decades of poisoning. Xiao Yu propped himself up on the bed's edge, his bony hands gripping the frame with a creak. The intense emotions in his eyes contrasted with his previous indifference. What poison? How did you discover it? I don't know why other doctors didn't notice, but I did. Before you arrived, I knew a poison doctor, Saint Ruan. When we had spare time, we researched medicinal poisons together. There's no obvious poison in your body, but the cause lies in your diet. For decades, you've been consuming foods that counteract each other, resulting in food poisoning. It gradually weakens your body and organs until premature death. Xiao Yu's eyes betrayed disbelief. For some reason, when Su Yingxue spoke, he subconsciously believed her. Her steadiness made him feel assured. Xiao Yu summoned the steward from Qilin Garden. Although he was not a servant of the Xiao family's head, he was still a person transferred from the main family. He had many years of experience and was extremely reliable. Xiao Yu said that he was hungry and asked them to serve lunch. He also brought the menu that they had prepared for him recently. Chapter 640. Working with Xiaoyu, the steward didn't know what Xiaoyu was going to do, but he immediately ordered someone to prepare lunch and sent the menu over. He looked at Xiaoyu, who was sitting on the bed without any intention of eating, and asked nervously, "Eldest young master, do you need me to serve you? Or should one call Xiaoxi over?" "Steward, your young master's lunch is sumptuous. Shark's fin soup with shredded abalone, ginseng bird's nest, and even a simple vegetable dish are all prepared so exquisitely. Truly befitting of the Xiao family," Su Yingxue teased with a smile. The steward felt somewhat relieved and replied with a smile, "Miss Su, you flatter us. The eldest young master is the heir of the Xiao family. Who would dare to neglect his meals? However, the young master just mentioned being hungry. Is there something unsatisfactory about the dishes? Should one have the kitchen prepare another table?" Xiao Yes meals were always prepared in advance, with backups. 20 dishes per meal were the norm, and if there were guests, even more would be prepared. Despite this, Xiao Yu remained seated on the bed without showing any interest in eating. On the contrary, Su Yingxue examined the menu with great interest. "Your young master has 20 dishes for each meal, and there's even a team of chefs dedicated to his service. Are you responsible for changing the menu daily?" Naturally, young master's meals are meticulously taken care of. Qilin Garden is exclusively responsible for the young master's meals. There are 12 chefs from the main course to snacks. As for the menu, it was sent by the main family. Every time the young master goes somewhere, the main family ensures that all his daily needs are met. Especially this menu, as instructed by the main family, the young master's diet must strictly adhere to it without any deviation, the steward replied in detail, fearing to upset the eldest young master. In his presence, the steward felt a palpable pressure emanating from Xiaoyu, different from Chu Yihan's imposing aura but equally intimidating. Su Yingxue smiled. "Understood. I'll dine with your young master. You can go ahead and attend to your duties." "Very well, Miss Su. Feel free to let me know if you need anything," the steward said before wiping the sweat off his forehead and leaving nervously. Once he was gone, Su Yingxue took out a pen and began making notes on the menu. She then handed it to Xiaoyu. "There's indeed an issue with your diet. Each day's meals are rich, but there are conflicting ingredients in every dish. Having them occasionally isn't a problem, but you've been consuming them for years." Su Yingxue couldn't help but marvel at the ruthlessness of such aristocratic families. To harm Xiaoyu, they had patiently set up this scheme over many years, making it difficult for anyone to detect. Xiao Yes meals were very sumptuous. Even if he did not eat until the time of mutual restriction, he would still be affected if he ate for many years. Moreover, this method was not even able to diagnose the illness. If it weren't for her mother's medical skills and Saint Juan's love of dragging her along to study blindly, even she wouldn't have been able to find the source. Xiao Yes' hand that was holding the menu trembled slightly. He seemed to have recalled something that made him agitated. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Puff! Su Yingxue quickly helped him up and used silver needles to stabilize his heart pulse, allowing him to fall asleep again. When he woke up, the millet porridge that Su Yingxue had made was ready. She had personally brought something and made it in Xiao Yes' room. Chapter 641. The essence of a merchant. She handed it to Xiaoyu and said, "One made this. There's no problem. With your current condition, you can't do anything. You should rest first." "Thank you." Xiaoyu accepted her kindness and drank the millet porridge and the medicine she gave him. He trusted Su Yingxue very much. However, he knew Su Yingxue's intentions. Ninth Prince hurting me was a trap set up by Fengzhou Palace. I won't hold it against you. You don't have to worry. Young Master Xiao is a reasonable person. I'm not worried about this. What I'm worried about is... No, I want to cooperate with you on another matter. Su Yingxue sat in front of Xiaoyu and said frankly, "Cooperation?" Xiaoyu frowned as if he was surprised. "One believe young Master Xiao has discovered your illness. One was unwilling to tell you about it at first." Xiaoyu nodded. "If you had told me directly on the day I went to the Marquis Manor, there would not have been such a thing in the palace. You wanted to see my aunt, So you probably wanted to tell her about my illness and let her deal with the matter of me being poisoned. He could not help but admire Su Yingxi's intelligence and thoughtfulness. If he had been told that he had been poisoned that day, he would have investigated the person who had poisoned him. The Xiao family's head would have a bloody storm. This would cause the Xiao family to be in turmoil. That was why she thought that if noble consort Xiao were to take action, the commotion would be much smaller. This way, she, who was treating him, and her marquis manner would not be affected by the Xiao family. After all, the Xiao family was a huge force with complicated roots. If anything happened, she would not be able to deal with it at once. However, the situation was different now. What do you want to cooperate with me for? Xiao Yu asked her. The Xiao family is a merchant family. Naturally, I want to do business with young Master Xiao. The corners of Su Yingxi's mouth curled up slightly. Other than medical skills, do you have any other skills that you are proficient in? Although the Xiao family is also involved in the pharmaceutical industry, these are not the main industries. Industries that cannot bring huge profits are not worth my effort. Although Xiao Yu was weak, his brain was still good. Su Yingxue could also tell that he had exposed the nature of a businessman. However, what she wanted to tell Xiao Yu was, medicine is not only a profitable industry, but it is also beneficial to oneself and the people. If the Xiao family wants to stand tall, an heir like you must have a strong body. Xiao Ye's heart skipped a beat. Su Yingxue had hit his sore spot. Or rather, it was the point that he cared about the most. A good body was what he yearned for the most in his life. If he could live longer, then the Xiao family would be able to prosper. Xiao Ye's thoughts were cleared up in an instant. He looked at Su Yingxue. How do you want to cooperate? Let the hundreds of cities in the Great Qing dynasty be filled with the clinic that I, Su Yingxue, and the Xiao family have cooperated to open. We will cultivate a group of outstanding doctors and solve the difficult and miscellaneous diseases in this world one by one. Su Yingxi's beautiful eyes turned deep. With just this sentence, Xiao Yu agreed to her. Deal. The two of them talked about their cooperation until late at night. If Xiao Ye's body could not support it, they would have talked all night. There is still a long way to go. I will come and check your pulse every day. Before our cooperation begins, please take care of yourself, young Master Xiao. Su Yingxi's hand landed on Xiao Ye's shoulder and pinched him hard. Yes. Xiao Yu nodded in agreement. Chapter 642, Chu Jinling's painting. Vivid. He had only recently met Su Yingxue, yet he had already bestowed upon her sincerity and trust. Perhaps it was her resilience and broad-mindedness that was very attractive. Su Yingxue stepped out under the moon and happened to encounter Chu Jinling's painting in the garden. He had a very good sense of leisure and elegance. Amidst the flowers and under the moonlight, he was boiling wine with green plums in the pavilion. His brush was slowly outlining the graceful figure of a woman. Su Yingxue had walked behind him, but he had not noticed it. Perhaps he was too engrossed in his painting. Su Yingxue wanted to greet him but was afraid of interrupting. When he finished his stroke, he sighed at the painting. Sigh, I didn't do well again. Cici's eyes are very beautiful. Chu Jinling looked disappointed as he took down the painting. Su Yingxue took it and examined it. It's quite good. Auntie. Chu Jinling looked pleasantly surprised. You haven't left yet? What have you been talking about with my cousin for so long? Discussing his illness. Su Yingxue replied as she carefully examined Chu Jinling's painting. It had to be said that Chu Jinling, the ninth prince, was the least competent in the struggle for the throne, but when it came to music, chess, calligraphy, painting, poetry, and literature, no prince could surpass him in these refined pursuits. His depiction of Lin Cici wielding a spear, clad in armor, with her hair billowing in the wind, was truly lifelike. It was as if the valiant girl were right before their eyes. Su Yingxi's eyes held a hint of regret. Such a good painting, yet Cici can't see it? I had someone deliver a painting to her. Chu Jinling muttered, then grimaced. But one couldn't let her know it was from me, so I had to have it sent to the military camp. However, there was an annoying junior officer who happened to visit Cici that day and made her think he painted it. She was so grateful to him. It infuriated me. Su Yingxue couldn't help but laugh at this story. If it weren't for noble Consort Xiao's people keeping an eye on Chu Jinling and prohibiting him from approaching Lin Cixi, he would have surely burst out and given that officer a beating when he found out his painting was being falsely claimed, right? How pitiful. Su Yingxue took the painting to keep it safe. I'll deliver this painting to Cixi for you. She would never claim Chu Jinling's painting as her own. You can give it to her, but just say you painted it. Chu Jinling sighed heavily. She'll miss me when she sees the painting, but mother has forbidden me from seeing her again. If mother finds out, she won't spare Cixi. I can't protect her, and one don't want to cause her any more trouble. Chu Jinling picked up the wine jug from the stone table and took a sip. Su Yingxue's heart ached a little as she watched. All right, I know what to do. After all, she was just an outsider. Perhaps this was all she could do. Hey, wait. Auntie, when you go to see Cixi, if you have time, please help me prepare these for her. Chu Jinling handed her a piece of paper listing a few snacks. These are all Cixi's favorites. She's currently training in the military camp and can't often indulge in them. Help deliver them to her. I've also listed where to buy these delicious dried fruits. Since I'm calling you auntie, I'm counting on you. Chu Jinling winked at her, clearly being a bit cheeky. But Su Yingxue looked into his clear eyes and nodded. Okay. Chapter 643. It's impossible to bring you courtesy should be reciprocated. Chu Jinling whispered in her ear, next time you need to discuss something with my cousin, feel free to find me. One promise to help you handle it. Then I won't hesitate. Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows. She had to make the most of Chu Jinling's intelligence. In the Marquis manner, as soon as Su Yingxue returned, she encountered Su Miaoyan. Shamelessly, Su Miaoyan entered her room, rummaging through her paintings and engaging in idle chatter. After pulling her to sit on the soft couch, Su Miaoyan casually asked, Sister, how is young Master Xiao Yes health? It's fine. He won't die, Su Yingxue replied casually. When will he recover then? Just needs good care. I'll take about a year or so. Can you take me with you next time to see him? No. Su Yingxue removed the hairpin and turned to look at her. Why? Su Miaoyan suddenly jumped off the couch, the tassels on her hair swaying. Why do you want to see Xiao Yu? You've only met him a few times, and you're already thinking about him? Su Yingxue's gaze was piercing, as if she could see through Su Miaoyan. Because he's good-looking. Su Miaoyan puffed up her cheeks. This is the first time I've seen such a handsome brother. Haven't you seen Ninth Prince before? Su Yingxue knocked on her head. With Chu Yihan in the picture, why did Su Miaoyan act like she hadn't seen much of the world? Not everyone likes someone like Ninth Prince. Ninth Prince is cold. Whoever he looks at turns into a dead person. He's nothing like a handsome brother. He's so gentle and caring. He's the best looking. Su Miaoyan cupped her small face, feeling elated. Su Yingxue shrugged. Indeed, everyone had their preferences. One admit Ninth Prince is cold, but Xiao Yu, how is he gentle and caring? Su Yingxue suddenly realized. Xiao Yu wasn't as lethal as Chu Yihan, but could he be considered gentle and caring? Su Yingxue pulled Su Miaoyan in front of her and started prying open her thoughts. What's in your little head? You seem smart, but why do you become dull when it comes to men? Sister, you're the dull one. Ouch, my head. Su Miaoyan finally escaped Su Yingxue's grip and sat on the soft couch, pouting. Sister, are you taking me with you? If not, 111 sleep in your room and refuse to leave. Su Yingxue scoffed. Taking you with me is impossible. What if something happened again? Xiao Yes Qilin Garden wasn't a safe place for Su Miaoyan to play around. Finally, she was going to sleep here. Su Yingxue was indifferent. You can sleep in any corner of this room. If you catch a cold, there are plenty of good medicines in the medicine hut. Su Miaoyan's little head shook. She suddenly doubted whether this Su Yingxue in front of her had been replaced. How could it be like this? However, she wasn't someone who would give in. She fell onto the soft couch. I don't care if one catch a cold. Grandpa will feel sorry for me anyway. I'm not afraid. Su Yingxue snorted lightly. You're young but quite temperamental. as expected of a young girl from the Su family. No. The man's voice startled Su Miaoyan. Chapter 644. Grandpa found out when she saw Chu Yihan, who had appeared out of nowhere. She immediately scrambled to her feet. "Greetings, Your Highness." Chu Yihan uttered an affirmative grunt, then asked her, "You can't sleep here?" Su Miaoyan forced down the word "why." After pondering for a moment, she propped up her chin and said, "Your Highness, you can ask me to go back to my room, but I want to go see brother with sister. Shall you?" "I promise you," Chu Yihan replied calmly. "Your Highness, this," Su Yingxue lamented, holding her forehead. "Isn't this a bit rushed?" Su Miaoyan was mischievous. Su Yingxue felt that trouble might arise if she went to see Xiao Yu. However, Su Miaoyan paid no heed. Having received Chu Yihan's permission, she bowed happily to him. "Thank you, Your Highness. Miaoyan won't disturb Your Highness and sister's night." After saying that, she ran off. Su Yingxue tried to bring her back for a scolding, but she couldn't catch her. Instead, Chu Yihan pulled her into his arms. "Your sister wants to go see Xiao Yu. Why stop her? Don't you know how terrifying the Xiao family is, Your Highness? Miao Miao is so young. Letting her get curious about Xiao Yu. What if there's a connection between them in the future? Then she would be truly guilty. She's just a child. She wants to see Xiao Yu because of his appearance. Or do you think a young master of the Xiao family would bother with a little girl?" Resting his chin on her shoulder, Chu Yihan's breath was warm. Su Yingxue's neck felt a little itchy. "Your Highness, you're right, but she's still a girl. We have to be cautious. With cousin's example, the daughters of the Su family should be careful." He didn't want them to follow in Su Han's footsteps. Chu Yihan buried his head in the crook of her neck and chuckled. "When can I come to propose to the Su family's girls?" Su Yingxue was stunned and remained silent for a long time. Chu Yihan opened his eyes slightly, but Su Yingxue quickly concealed her panic. She didn't want Chu Yihan to notice. "I've been busy these past few days," she said cleverly. "You'll just mention it to grandfather." With her peach blossom-like face emitting endless charm, Chu Yihan kissed her lips. Just as the temperature between them rose, there was a commotion outside the door. "Oh!" Su Yingxue accidentally bit Chu Yihan's lip. Hiss! Chu Yihan wiped away the blood from his lip. However, Su Yingxue had already peeked outside the door. She bent over to take a look, then turned around and leaned heavily against the door. She let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, no one noticed. It was probably just a bird flying in the courtyard. "Don't you like the thrill of a secret affair?" Chu Yihan lifted her chin with a finger, his eyes bewitching, completely different from his usual cold demeanor. It was as if he wanted to captivate her. Unable to resist, Su Yingxue leaned on his neck and bit him again. But harder this time. With force. "Yingxue, it's late. Haven't you rested yet?" The old man's voice was slightly hoarse but full of vitality. Su Yingxue's heart truly trembled now. She looked around her room and finally pushed Chu Yihan into her bathroom. Gesturing for him to be quiet, she whispered, "I'm sorry, Your Highness. I won't make a sound. Please don't let anyone find out." "Why are you so nervous? Even if the old general finds out, I'll explain it to him properly." Chapter 645. Are you hiding someone? Chu Yihan pinched Su Yingxue's cheek and found it amusing. At this moment, with Su Qingji outside the door, it seemed like they were having a secret rendezvous. Explain? Su Yingxue bit her lip. If her grandpa found out, how could she explain it? But she had kept it from Chu Yihan, so she could only say, "One want to surprise grandpa. Until Your Highness proposes to me, don't ruin my surprise for grandpa. Otherwise, I won't marry you." Su Yingxue snorted heavily. Her words carried a threat. Chu Yihan's eyes flashed with helplessness. Her threat had worked. Even the dignified ninth prince had to hide now. As Su Yingxue emerged from the bathroom, Jilan brought Su Qingji in. Su Qingzi's thick eyebrows furrowed. "Yingxue, it's late. What are you still doing up?" As he spoke, he moved toward the bathroom. "I just got back from the Xiao family. One was going to take a bath and then sleep." Su Yingxue quickly blocked the bathroom door and smiled. Just got back? The gatekeeper said you've been back for over an hour. Su Qingji frowned, clearly skeptical. His eyes were sharp as he focused on the bathroom, taking another step forward. This time, Su Yingxue didn't try to stop him. She knew her grandpa was experienced and would see through her if she kept hiding. But if her grandpa found Chu Yihan hiding in her bathroom, she probably couldn't explain it. Seeing her not stopping him, Su Qingji instructed Jilan, "Go check Miss Bathroom." Jilan didn't understand but still went to check. When she came out, she bowed slightly to Su Qingji. "Master, Miss Bathroom is normal. Nothing unusual." Su Qingji asked, "Did you prepare water for Miss?" Jilan shook her head. "No, Su Yingxue hadn't mentioned bathing when she came back. What kind of servant are you? Go prepare it for Miss immediately. She's been busy for days. Let her take a good bath." Su Qingzi's face was stern. Jilan trembled in fear. "Yes, I'll go prepare it for Miss right away." Su Yingxue's lips twitched. "Grandpa, you don't need to go to such trouble. I can wait until tomorrow morning. You said you wanted to bathe just now. Now you find it troublesome?" Su Qingzi's eyes were piercing, making all schemes transparent. He even pressed, "You're evasive. Is there someone hiding in the bathroom?" "What are you saying, Grandpa? How can you doubt me like that?" Su Yingxue widened her eyes. Seeing her angry, Su Qingzi's expression immediately softened. He patted her shoulder. "All right, it was just a joke. I haven't seen you in a few days and wanted to check on you." Su Yingxue understood that Su Qingzi's concern was more than just that. He ordered Jilan to prepare for bathing, making everyone in the courtyard busy. With Su Qingji and Su Wei here, anyone other than Su Yingxue would be noticed if they made any moves. Su Yingxue suddenly had a bad feeling. She went to Su Qingji and brewed tea for him. She asked her doubts, "Grandpa, it's late. Why aren't you resting? You've always taken care of your health." He wouldn't wait for her so late for no reason. Su Qingji replied calmly, "I know you've been busy lately and a lot has happened. I just came to see you." Chapter 646, Unattainable, Unreachable Grandpa, Fine. "You don't have to worry," Su Yingxue said, sitting obediently beside Su Qingji. She knew that she had made Su Qingji worry again, which was why he had come to see her so nervously. "You are still young. You have your mother's abilities, but you may not have her experience in dealing with people. Grandpa has to watch over you more and give you more advice. Tell me what happened in the past 2 days." Su Qingji didn't plan to leave so easily after sitting down. Su Yingxue had no choice but to tell Su Qingji everything about the palace and the Xiao family, including her plan to cooperate with Xiao Yu to open a clinic. After Su Qingji heard this, he frowned deeply, and his distinct eyebrows were raised. Working with the Xiao family is extremely risky. Xiao Yu is the heir of the Xiao family, but someone dares to poison him. By doing this, you are getting involved in the Xiao family's grievances. Su Qingzi's tone was heavy, clearly disapproving of this matter. "Grandpa, I'm already at the cusp of the storm. If I don't strengthen myself, I'll become a fish on the chopping board of others. Instead of that, I might as well take a gamble." Su Yingxue was proud and confident. It was as if Su Qingji saw Long Shuli from back then. "It's exactly the same," Su Qingji sighed softly. "I can't stop what should come. Your mother was the same back then. I couldn't stop her either. Long Shuli was in the limelight. Back then, she was famous all over the world. But in the end," Su Qingji waved his hand. "Forget it. Grandpa won't stop you from doing what you want to do, but I'm concerned about your marriage. Don't delay it." Su Yingxue was stunned. Why did Grandpa suddenly mention this? "You've already reached adulthood for a year. How long do you want to delay? The sooner you have someone to rely on, the sooner Grandpa can rest assured. Your husband can protect you, and I won't be worried about you, just like what happened to Hainer." Su Qingji was especially sincere. He even patted Su Yingxue's shoulder and reminded her, "Husband is someone who wants to support each other and hold hands with you for the rest of your life. If that person is someone you can't reach, you should give up on this idea as soon as possible. Grandpa doesn't want you to be in danger." On the surface, Su Kingzi's words sounded like the advice of a normal old man. However, in his words, it was unattainable and unreachable. These words pierced into Su Yingshu's heart. Grandpa, he seemed to know something. General, you should go back and rest early. Su Wei looked at the sky and reminded him. Su Qingji nodded and left with Su Wei. Jilan had already prepared hot water for Su Yingxue. Miss, it's all ready. I will serve you to bathe. Su Yingxue did not move. Miss? Jilan called her again. Only then did Su Yingxue move her hand and let her go to the bathroom to prepare. Jilan didn't notice anything strange in the bathroom, and Chu Yihan was no longer hiding there. Su Yingxue searched the entire house again, but no one was there. However, her heart instantly felt empty. Seeing that she was in a daze, Ziwei landed in front of her and told her, "He left with your grandpa." Su Yingshu's lips twitched. Really? Unlike usual, he didn't even tell her when he left. Did he hear grandfather's words? Su Qingji brought Su Wei out of Su Yingshu's courtyard. They did not go back directly but went to the temple hall. Chapter 647. He heard Su Kingzi's words. Every day, Su Jinxian would come here to offer incense and pray, accompanying his mother and sister until late at night. The memorial tablets for the two of them were secretly erected by Su Dingheng behind Su Kingzi's back. Su Jingshuan's lightness skill was outstanding, and his hearing was extraordinary. He had already sensed Su Kingzi's footsteps, but when he stepped in, he turned around in panic. "Grandfather, you? Why are you here?" Su Qingji had come to Su Jingshuan's courtyard to look for him. Since he wasn't there, he came here. "Why are you here?" Su Kingzi's gaze was piercing as he stared at the memorial tablets in the temple hall. He was coldly furious. "Was it your father who brought these here?" "No. It was because one couldn't bear to see my mother and sister wandering outside, so I set up the tablets for them. They'll take them away now." Although he appeared terrified, he quickly took down the two tablets to protect them in his arms. In front of Su Qingji, he was cautious and extremely filial. Su Qingji couldn't find a reason to blame him. Instead, he reminded him, "If you are useful, one day you will make contributions to the country and the family. There will naturally be a place for them in the Marquis manor. There's no need to be so secretive." "Yes, grandfather. One understand." Su Jinxian bowed deeply, looking extremely obedient and sensible. Su Qingji asked him to get up. With his thin face looking pure and harmless, Su Qingji said, "You're still up so late, grandfather. Why don't I send you back?" Su Qingji nodded and forgave Su Jinxian for paying his respects privately. After Su Jinxian left, Su Wei asked Su Qingji, "General, you didn't pursue the second young master's private worship today. Did you believe his words?" Having followed Su Qingji for his entire life, Su Wei had gone to Su Yingshu's place today because he had heard the servants in Su Jingshuan's courtyard discussing the matter between Su Yingxue and Chu Yihan, which had made him worried. However, he was surprised that Su Qingji would treat Su Jinxian well. Su Qingji was holding a cup of water. The colorless and odorless water reflected the depth in his eyes. Yingxue is still inexperienced. The imperial court is treacherous and the country is in turmoil. I really can't bear for her to be put in a difficult position. As for that kid Jinxian, Su Qingji chuckled, I can tell what he is thinking. However, if he can make Yingxue give up, one might give it a try. He would never let Su Jinxian hurt Su Yingxue and threaten her interests. At the 9th prince's mansion, the moon was shining brightly in Chu Yihan's courtyard, and the red silken eaves added a hint of joy to the bleak autumn night. Ever since Chu Yihan had made progress, the 9th prince's mansion had begun to look festive. Red glazed lamps, lanterns, the word happiness, and red silk were being purchased and decorated by the old butler every day. It was just waiting for the day when Chu Yihan would be able to marry the princess. Even Shan Bao's Tiger Mountain was not spared. Shan Bao was lying on the fake mountain. He grabbed the word happy with one paw and rolled its eyes. It's too flashy. It doesn't look good at all. Shan Bao licked its paws and looked at its master's study. His handsome figure was standing by the window, so handsome that even a tiger would be impressed. Your Highness, the manor has already begun to prepare. Today, we have decorated your courtyard. Are you satisfied? The old steward smiled. The matter had not been decided yet, but he was so happy that he had been busy until late at night. Chu Yihan looked up at the moon, his eyes cold. There's no need to prepare for now. No preparation? Doesn't your highness want to marry Miss Su as soon as possible? The old steward's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that something unexpected had happened? Chapter 648. The gloomy Su Jinshen. Yes. Chu Yihan's icy eyes held a hint of disappointment. He wanted to marry Su Yingxue as soon as possible, but on Su Yingshu's side, there seemed to be no progress. And did old General Su's words tonight intentionally target him? To outsiders, Chu Yihan seemed untouchable and beyond reach with his military power and influence in the court. But his woman was no fool. Your Highness, although I don't know what's happened since this joyous occasion has taken its first step, there's no reason to halt it, otherwise it's inauspicious. If your Majesty Shu Fei's spirit were to see this from above, she'd be saddened. She truly desires to witness your marriage. The old steward felt a surge of affection. Having served in the palace for years, he naturally wished the best for his master. Yes, even mother desires to see it. Let's not halt preparations, continue. Chu Yihan's lips curled up slightly. He trusted Su Yingxue. Even if old General Su disagreed, he would prove himself worthy of Su Yingshu's trust. In the Qilin Garden, Su Miaoyan, armed with Chu Yihan's command, forcefully boarded Su Yingshu's carriage. Su Yingxue tossed the medicine box to her and cautioned her, "The medicine box is over there. It'll allow you to visit Xiaoyu, but remember, Qilin Garden isn't safer than the palace. If you dare to wander, sister, you will send me home, right?" Su Miaoyan blinked mischievously, her mouth curved like a fox's. Su Yingshu's lips quirked. "You're clever. You know that 111 send you home, not the Marquis Manor." "Oh, it's easy to guess. If I'm sent back to the Marquis Manor, I just need to act cute with Grandpa and I'll blow over. Next time, I can even beg Ninth Prince to bring me to see handsome brother. But if I'm sent home, Mother won't let me out again." Su Miaoyan saw through Su Yingshu's intentions. "Your little brain is quite sharp. I'll consider doing surgery on you someday to see if there's anything different inside your head." Su Yingxue ruffled Su Miaoyan's hair. Su Miaoyan immediately panicked, holding her head and shouting, "Sister, one was wrong. I won't be mischievous anymore. I'll listen to you obediently and won't wander around Qilin Garden." Sob, sob, sob. Her sister was indeed scary. That surgical tool could open up stomachs and even heads. Su Miaoyan imagined herself lying on the operating table with her head opened by Su Yingxue. Oh, no, it was too scary. What if Su Yingxue couldn't sew her head back? Su Miaoyan decided she would never tease Su Yingxue again. She was too scary. Su Yingxue disciplined Su Miaoyan and snorted, "That's more like it." Su Miaoyan pouted, "One, know you're scaring me and want cut open my head, but there's someone else's head. I suggest you open it." "Oh, who is it?" Su Yingxue raised an intrigued eyebrow. "Su Jinshen. He's sinister and strange. Every time one see him, I feel like his smile is as fake as a puppet's. And lately he's been running to Grandpa's. Grandpa even gave him a military book." Su Miaoyan puffed up her cheeks, speaking seriously. Su Yingxue pondered for a moment. What Grandfather wants to give him is Grandfather's business. We can't interfere. Did you notice anything else strange about Su Jinshen? Chapter 649. Exile. Oh, I feel like he's just not normal. He's gloomy, but he smiles at everyone. Yesterday, when I was leaving your courtyard and ran into him, I was almost scared out of my wits, but he smiled at me and apologized, saying he didn't mean to scare me. Su Miaoyan held her face in her hands, looking very serious. Su Yingxue raised an eyebrow. His mother and sister are normal, so how normal can he be? Moreover, this person Su Jinshen in this life seemed a bit more sinister and ruthless to her. Then, sister, you must be careful. It's easy to dodge an open spear but hard to guard against a hidden arrow. Su Jinshen is living under the same roof as us now. Su Miaoyan held her face, growing nervous. Don't worry. Sister won't let him harm you. But, hasn't Lord Liang's judgment been due to be executed soon? Su Yingxue recalled the matter. Su Han's body had almost recovered, and those who had harmed her should pay the price. Thinking of this, Su Miaowen's expression became excited again. That Madame Sheng and the county lord are miserable. Sister Han's maid said they kept sending people to beg Sister Han to save them, but Sister Han ignored them. They're still going to be exiled and they should be on their way today. A woman who had enjoyed half a lifetime of luxury and a princess who had been proud and arrogant was now exiled to a desolate place 3,000 miles away, never to return to the bustling Jiangdu city again. It was truly tragic. But who made them so vicious toward Su Han? This ending was extremely satisfying. At the gates of Jiangdu city, a group of bailiffs was leading a group of prisoners away. Madame Sheng and Min Jia were among them, wearing prison uniforms and shackles, their faces dirty and disheveled, devoid of the dignity they usually carried. They stood among a group of prisoners, looking panicked. Madame Sheng clutched the old regional prince's clothes and cried out in anguish, "Husband, save me! Husband, save me! I don't want to be exiled, don't want to leave Jiangdu city." How could there be any hope after going 3,000 miles? Who knew if she would die on the road? Min Jia? Look at Min Jia. She's only 15, and her leg is broken. How can she walk so far? She'll die on the road. Madame Sheng's voice was hoarse from crying. After spending these days in prison, she deeply regretted her past actions. More than half of her hair had turned white. Min Jia, who was with her, seemed like a soulless puppet. She struggled to stand with her cane, her eyes vacant and unable to speak. The days spent waiting for Su Jinxian in prison had drained all her spirit. Min Jia, if you had told me earlier, you wouldn't be like this. Chu Xiaoshen's eyes were red with anger, and his right hand clenched into a fist, wishing he could kill Su Jinxian. It was he who had instigated Min Jia to commit such a heinous crime, which had harmed Su Han and the entire regional prince's mansion. The old regional prince was also not at ease. He took out his last savings and prepared some money for Madame Sheng and Min Jia. Take this money with you on the road. You'll need it. It's a long journey, so don't be reckless. Once they left the regional prince's mansion and Jiangdu city, he and Chu Xiaotian would be powerless. Let's go. The bailiff began to hurry them along. As they pulled Min Jia's hand and prepared to leave, there was still a hint of longing in Min Jia's eyes. She still wanted to see Su Jinxian one last time, even if it was just for a moment. Chapter 650. Upon used, Miss, they are leaving. Yifan stood in front of Su Han's carriage. Su Han had expressed her desire to witness Madame Sheng and Min Jia's exile, although Qin Wan had initially opposed the idea. Nevertheless, Su Han insisted on coming. Both Qin Wan and Yifan were concerned that it might stir up painful memories for her. However, Su Han's thoughts were elsewhere. She instructed the carriage to leave the city. After Chu Xiaotian and the old regional prince had departed, she instructed Yifan to give a bag of silver to the bailiff and arranged for a private meeting with Min Jia and Madame Sheng. The bailiff accepted the silver without objection. The ropes belonging to Min Jia and Madame Sheng were now in the hands of Su family servants. Yifan drew back the curtain, revealing Su Han's face inside the elegant carriage. Dressed in a lotus-colored robe with a blue belt cinched at her waist, her hair adorned with pearls, Su Han's complexion was as fair as snow. With light steps, she exuded an ethereal grace, akin to a celestial being floating on clouds. In stark contrast to the disheveled appearance of Madame Sheng and Min Jia, Su Han's presence commanded respect. Upon seeing her, Madame Sheng and Min Jia felt a sense of shame. The once haughty Madame Sheng, upon encountering Su Han, would typically unleash a barrage of insults. Yet now, she lacked even the courage to meet her gaze. Instinctively shielding Min Jia, Madame Sheng regarded Su Han warily. "What do you want?" Su Han's gaze fell lightly upon her. "I have questions for Min Jia." What do you want to know?" Min Jia harbored a deep-seated fear of her former sister-in-law. While she had always perceived Su Han as weak and easily manipulated, she now realized that Su Han, when not in a weakened state, posed a formidable threat. Su Jinxian has deeply wronged you. Do you seek revenge? Su Han's tone was gentle yet ignited a fiery rage within Minjia. Su Jinxian, I want him to suffer as I have. No, I want him dead. Though she had left the city, Su Jinxian had yet to meet her. Her dreams were shattered, and she was now awake. Ultimately, she was merely a pawn in Su Jingshuan's game. Are you willing to tell me everything you know? Su Han inquired. Having already hit rock bottom, Minjia had nothing left to hide from Su Han. However, to Su Han's dismay, none of the information proved useful. Even the items Su Jinxian had given Minjia were cheap and untraceable. As a parting remark, Minjia added, he harbors a deep hatred for Su Yingxue and is determined to end her life. His master taught him this. His master is someone even Su Yingxue cannot contend with. Who is his master? What is their name? Su Han's gaze narrowed. I believe his name is Wu Dao. I have never met him. But suffice it to say, he is formidable, Minjia replied. Wu Dao. Su Han committed the name to memory, determined to relay this information to Su Yingxue upon her return to the Marquis Manor. As Minjia and Madame Sheng were dragged away, occasionally berated like beasts, Jifan couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction for Su Han. Miss, they almost caused your demise. Now that they are reaping what they sowed, you can finally rest easy. Su Han had to admit that she had not slept well in quite some time. Her dreams were haunted by the pitiful cries of her helpless child. Yet she resolved not to torment herself any longer. Jifan, everyone has their path to walk. If I make a mistake and turn back in time, one can embrace a new beginning. As for them, they no longer have any bearing on my life. With that statement, Su Han decisively boarded the carriage. Even as she caught sight of Chu Shaoan watching her from afar, she felt no sense of longing. Chapter 651. Accompanying Xiaoyu, there was no turning back in life. She would always move forward. After her departure, Chu Shaoan also left dejectedly. Su Han didn't notice that a pair of eyes had been staring at her since she appeared at the city gate. Her every move was engraved in the eyes of others, and they cherished her so much. In Qilin Garden, Xiaoyu finished his medicine and began discussing collaboration with Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue checked his diet. There were no foods that countered him, so he would not be poisoned. However, she still reminded Xiaoyu, the poison in your body has accumulated over the years. It won't be cleared so quickly. You don't have to be anxious. Understood. Xiaoyu was an indifferent person. Su Yingxue clicked her tongue and sighed. Most of the men she knew were cold. Chu Yihan was cold due to his lofty status, Ziwei was cold due to his bloodthirsty nature, and Xiaoyu was cold due to his aloofness. Only Qin Mayan, who was neither cold nor passionate, declared his intention to marry her. An envoy from the Great Wei dynasty had stayed in Jiangdu City for so many days for her, yet he still refused to leave. Yesterday, she received a letter from Qin Mayan saying that he would visit her grandfather and discuss their marriage. It gave her a headache. Dr. Su. Lin Cici's noisy voice rang out. She leaped in front of Su Yingxue and hugged her tightly. Long time no see. Did Dr. Su miss me? Cici. Su Yingxue beamed. Of course I did. I heard that you've been in the military camp recently. Why are you here today? Of course I came to see you. Lin Cici's voice was loud and full of energy. Su Yingxue knew that her internal strength and martial arts had improved a lot. She even whispered into Su Yingxue's ear, the rules in the army are strict. My father didn't allow me to come out at first. But today, the 9th prince came to the army camp to recruit soldiers and said that he wanted to teach me martial arts. My father hurriedly let me come out with 9th prince. Your Highness? Su Yingxue's eyes lit up. So it was him. She had previously mentioned to Chu Yihan that she felt sorry for Chu Jinling and Lin Cici, but she could not care less. Chu Yihan knew that Chu Jinling had been staying in Qilin Garden recently, so he made a special trip to the military camp and brought him out with the excuse of teaching Lin Cici martial arts. In this way, not only was it legitimate, even if noble consort Xiao found out, there was nothing to say. Lin Cici, practice the moves I taught you? Chu Yihan's voice was stern. He and Su Yingxue looked at each other. The two of them were connected. Whatever Su Yingxue wanted, he would do it for her. Su Yingxue smiled until her eyes curved. Lin Cece was too careless to notice the ambiguous look in their eyes. She found a place and focused on practicing. Su Miaoyan stood by the window. Seeing Lin Cece leave so cleanly, she cupped her small face and said, "This is too easy to deceive." If she was brought here by the 9th prince, she would pester him for a few more chances to come to Qilin Garden. She still wanted to see Xiao Yu a few more times. Cough, cough, a man's cough came from behind her. Su Miaoyan quickly turned around and ran to Xiao Yu in small steps. She asked with concern, "Handsome brother, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Do you want me to call my sister over?" Su Miaoyan's face, which was full of spirit, was filled with concern for him. Chapter 652 was discovered by Su Qingji. Xiao Yu shook his head as he held the account book in his hand. He didn't want to cough. "Then let me pour you a cup of tea." Su Miaoyan's crisp voice was particularly pleasant to hear. Xiao Yu nodded. "All right." Su Miaoyan ran over to pour some tea, but then remembered Su Yingxue's instructions and changed it to hot water. When she brought it to Xiao Yu, she explained, "Handsome brother, my sister said that you should drink less tea and more water to soothe your throat. Then you won't keep coughing." "All right." A smile flashed across Xiao Yu's deep eyes. He liked this young girl's meticulous care for him. The people around him might not remember all the things that his sister had told him to take note of, but he knew that she would remember everything. "Handsome brother, why do you keep calling me that?" Xiao Yu interrupted her as Su Miaoyan was about to chat with him. "Because you look good. I've never seen a brother who's more handsome than you." Su Miaoyan cupped her face and rubbed it against Xiao Yu's. The world of a young girl was so simple. She liked to look at him because he was good-looking and would even seize the opportunity to run over to see him. Xiao Yu had seen countless beauties since he was young, but none of them could compare to her. The young girl in front of him who had yet to mature looked pure and flawless when she smiled, making him want to protect her well. He raised his hand to take a brush, and Su Miaoyan picked up an inkstone to grind ink for him. With her by his side, Xiao Yu looked at the bleak fallen leaves outside the window and felt that it was more vivid. Su Yingxue saw that Chu Yihan had brought a gift. He must be here to see Xiao Yu. It was a misunderstanding that he had injured Xiao Yu. Your Highness was aloof and arrogant, but he was not an unreasonable person. Su Yingxue wanted to bring Chu Yihan to Xiao Yu's place, but Xiao Si stood at the door and said, "Our young master knows of your Highness' intentions. He has also accepted the gift. However, when young master is reading the account book, he never stops. He'll have to trouble your Highness to wait for a moment." Chu Yihan nodded. "All right." He knew that Xiao Yu wasn't the kind of person who would throw a tantrum at him on purpose. He did have this rule. In any case, the person he wanted to see was Su Yingxue. Xiao Si saw how compatible Chu Yihan and Su Yingxue looked when they stood together. He said considerately, "The scenery of the Fenghua Garden in the Qilin Garden is not bad. It was built after the Suzhou Garden. If your Highness and Miss Su don't mind, you can take a walk there. Just turn right and walk straight from this courtyard." Su Yingxue looked at Xiao Si with admiration. Then, wait for your young master to finish his work." She and Chu Yihan went to Fenghua Garden. As soon as they left the courtyard, Chu Yihan held her hand. Su Yingxue covered her mouth and giggled. "Xiao Yu has given others a lot of benefits." Chu Yihan nodded. "It's better than being free in the manor. 9th Prince would never forget being hidden in the bathroom. Your Highness, don't be angry. Grandfather's words last night were also because he was worried about me." Su Yingxue held his arm and gently comforted him. Chu Yihan knew this, so he didn't pursue it. However, he lowered his voice and said, "But old General Su doesn't agree. Your marriage with me is still not settled." He had been waiting for this for too long. The calm lake in his heart was stirred into a mess, and he almost couldn't control it. These 2 days, whenever he thought about it, his heart would ache slightly. "Your Highness, don't worry. Wait for me to go back and convince grandfather. He will agree." Su Yingxue was still smiling like a flower just a moment ago. The next moment, Su Kingzi's aged voice sounded. How do you plan to convince me? Chapter 653, Xiao Yes Black-Bellied Grandpa? Su Yingshu's heart skipped a beat. She was even holding Chu Yihan's arm, standing intimately with him. Not far away, Su Kingzi's eyes were tinged with a hint of anger. Lin Cixi had been chased away by Chu Yihan to practice. The internal arts and sword manual that Chu Yihan had given her was not easy to learn. She had practiced a part of it, but there were many parts she didn't understand. She had to go find Chu Yihan to ask him. However, this was her first time at Qilin Garden. She had only passed through one courtyard, and she was already a little lost. The winding paths here led to seclusion, and there weren't people stationed everywhere. She could only grope around to find her way. She heard the sound of gurgling water behind the wall and walked out of the cave. Her field of vision suddenly widened. She saw lush trees and strange flowers. A clear stream flowed from the depths of the flowers and trees into the cracks of the rocks. The clear stream reflected a man who was painting in the pavilion. It was as beautiful as a fairyland in a painting. Lin Cixi thought to herself that she could finally find someone to ask for directions. She took 2 steps forward and was stunned. Why is it him? She took 2 steps back in fear and deliberately hid in the rockery, afraid of letting the man see her. Chu Jinling was concentrating on his painting when the brush in his hand suddenly shook. The ink dripped onto the empty part. His painting was good, but he had ruined half of it. Chu Jinling stood up with a frown and looked around. No one had come, and there was nothing unusual, not even a bird. Why did he suddenly feel uneasy, causing him to make a mistake? He rarely made such mistakes. Chu Jinling sat down again. He looked at the painting he had ruined and sighed, "He'll have to redraw it." He took out a new piece of paper and placed it on the table, then began to concentrate on painting. After a long time, Lin Cixi poked her head out and peeked at him again. She was especially gratified to see him drawing and looking happy again. Fortunately, after she left him, he was still the carefree prince who was doted on by everyone. He was not affected by her at all. She was relieved. However, her face suddenly became wet. She wiped away the tears that had flowed out of her eyes and choked out, "What's there to cry about? In the future, we can still be together." As long as she, Lin Cixi, worked hard enough, she would definitely still be able to be together with Chu Jinling. Jinling be good? Just like now, he wanted to live a good life and be a happy prince. Su Miaoyan stayed in Qilin Garden until the sky turned dark. Xiao Yu had already finished reading the account book and was reading a book. She cupped her face and sat beside Xiao Yu, holding a pen and writing, "Why isn't Sister Shui here yet? Did her sister Shui only care about being with 9th Prince and leave her here?" Su Miaoyan raised her head and glanced at Xiao Yu. He was very focused on his book and didn't show any intention of chasing her away. But she couldn't stay like this forever, right? "Handsome brother, can you help me look for my sister? It's getting late. We still have to go back and have dinner with grandfather." Su Miaoyan walked to Xiao Ye's side and winked at him. Her voice was fresh and sweet, making people feel warm in their hearts. Xiao Yu put down his book and called Xiao Si in. "Let's have dinner." "Yes, young master. Would you like to have a meal with Miss Su?" Xiao Si's eyes flashed with surprise. Their eldest young master had left Su Miaoyan here for the entire afternoon. Xiao Yu nodded, and Xiao Si immediately went to prepare. Chapter 654. To keep Su Miaoyan quickly exclaimed, "No need, one can't accompany handsome brother to dinner. Could you please help me find my sister and ask her when she'll take me back? If we return late, grandfather will be angry." After all, she and Su Yingxue were still unmarried young ladies. Returning late to the Marquis Manor would certainly invite gossip. Xiao Si glanced at Xiao Ye's expression, and Xiao Yu cast a faint glance at him. Understanding immediately, Xiao Si said, "I is Su, finding your sister won't be a quick task. But our young master's health is delicate. If he doesn't have his dinner promptly, it might worsen his condition. This is what your sister instructed. How about you accompany the young master for dinner first, and then 111 help you find Miss Su? Does it conflict for handsome brother to have dinner and for me to find my sister?" Su Miaoyan tilted her head, starting to doubt her logic. Could it be that Qilin Garden was short-staffed? Were there no other servants besides Xiao Si? The vein on Xiao Si's forehead twitched. Well, Su Miaoyan, though young, was not easily fooled. Young master, what should we do? Cough. Xiao Yu coughed heavily, followed by a series of coughs. His face, previously tinged with red, now turned pale. Su Miaoyan hurried to his side, gently patting his back. Handsome brother, are you all right? Cough, I'm fine. It doesn't matter if one have dinner or not. Let Xiao Si find your sister to take you back first. After all, you still need to accompany grandfather. Xiao Ye's tone, tinged with a hint of sadness, suddenly stirred reluctance in Su Miaoyan's heart. She hesitated, then, shall one accompany handsome brother for dinner first? It's not early to go back now anyway. Xiao Yu nodded. All right, Xiao Si, inform the kitchen. Xiao Si was surprised by his action. He had never seen the young master act like this before. It was a bit unexpected. This wasn't his usual style. But seeing Su Miaoyan's worried expression as she stayed by Xiao Ye's side, behaving so obediently, Xiao Si instantly understood. It was easy to deceive young girls. He went out to instruct the steward to immediately prepare the meal and also to prepare some desserts that the girls liked. Xiao Ye's 12 chefs were always on standby, ensuring a prompt serving. However, the steward remembered that Su Miaoyan was still present and informed Xiao Si, "Third Miss Su is still here, but her sister has already left. General Su personally came to pick her up during the day." Now, the third miss, Xiao Si quickly covered the steward's mouth and pulled him aside, whispering, "The young master wants to have dinner with Miss Miaoyan now. But if Miss Miaoyan finds out that her sister has already left, she'll insist on returning to the Marquis Manor. Then, she won't be able to have dinner with the young master, and he'll be unhappy. Switch. Do you understand?" The steward, having served in the Xiao family for many years, was not a fool but rather shrewd. He immediately understood and said, "Got it. I'll go prepare food for Miss Miaoyan immediately." Su Miaoyan waited for dinner, and when Xiao Yu invited her to join him, she couldn't refuse. Initially absent-minded, she couldn't resist after a few of her favorite dishes and desserts were served. The strawberry milkshake ended up all over her face. Chapter 655. Trick her into staying. She smiled as she ate. "Handsome brother, the chef here is amazing. The food is exquisite and delicious. I like it." Her fondness was written on her face, evident in every word she spoke, perfectly matching her demeanor. Xiao Yu looked at her, his cold eyes suddenly softening. He fetched a handkerchief from nearby, and after Su Miaoyan finished eating, he lifted her face and gently wiped away the traces on her face. Su Miaoyan raised her head, drawing closer to Xiao Ye's eyes, and was even more astounded. Handsome brother was a cold, handsome man. He was pale, dressed in white, with a pale complexion. His face, though seemingly delicate, featured strikingly sharp facial features, with a perfectly chiseled jawline and slightly parted pale lips exuding a hint of allure. Cold yet bewitching. How enticing! Su Miaoyan suddenly leaned in, and Xiao Ye's hand pressed against her lips. The touch of his fingers informed him that the girl's lips were soft, carrying a faint sweet taste. Aware that her lips had been pressed by Xiao Yu, Su Miaoyan boldly reached out her hand and tapped Xiao Ye's lips. She laughed and exclaimed, "Handsome brother, I've touched you too, so we're even." Su Miaoyan resembled a triumphant little fox, her eyes twinkling with cunning. Xiao Si stood by the side and watched in a daze. Miss Su Miaoyan was truly remarkable. She was the first unfamiliar woman who had come into contact with his young master at such a close distance, and she actually bumped into his young master. His young master had been indifferent and abstinent all year round. Didn't this miss know? Wait, the miss was still young. What did she know about such matters? However, the main point was that she, an ignorant miss, had suppressed thousands of girls who wanted to seduce Xiao Yu. This victory was truly something to be proud of. Unfortunately, Su Miaoyan's triumphant gaze revealed no affection, only the satisfaction of a successful ploy. And Xiao Yu, a barely perceptible blush graced his pale cheeks. Xiao Yu wiped his lips and regained his composure, asking Su Miaoyan, Have you finished eating? Su Miaoyan nodded vigorously and patted her stomach. I'm full. Handsome brother, your food here is delicious. I want to eat with you next time. When Xiao Si heard this, he was overjoyed. Whenever Su Miaoyan visited, Xiao Yu would be happy. Perhaps his monthly salary would even increase by quite a bit. However, Xiao Yu said, let's talk about plans later. What? Can I eat with you anymore? Handsome brother. Su Miaoyan's small face instantly fell. She had just been celebrating her cleverness, so why did things suddenly change like this? Su Miaoyan's disappointment was evident in Xiao Ye's eyes, and a trace of a smile flickered in his deep gaze. Xiao Si instantly understood his young master's meaning and approached Su Miaoyan. Miss Su, dinner is over, and the young master is going to rest. I'll have someone escort you back to the Marquis Manor. Where's my sister? Only now did Su Miaoyan think of Su Yingxue. I don't know when Miss Su left, Xiao Si replied nonchalantly. He didn't mention why Su Yingxue left or that she had left long ago. This way, Su Miaoyan would ask Su Yingxue when she returned, and she wouldn't blame his young master. She wouldn't find out that his young master was deceitful and deliberately kept her in the dark to make her stay. Chapter 656. Who can throw a pig at random? Su Miaoyan stomped her feet angrily. Su Yingxue, how could she be like this? She even lost her sister. She left in a huff. Xiao Si turned around and helped Xiao Yu bring the medicine. When he saw him drink the medicine, he praised him. Young master, you're indeed clever. This time, not only did you not let Miss Miaoyan realize that you were the one who made her stay, but you also made her look forward to having a meal with you next time. Xiao Yu finished the medicine and threw the bowl aside. Send her back to the manor, he said coldly. What? The Qilin Garden is not far from the Marquis Manor, and no one dares to touch our Xiao family's carriage. Miss Miaoyan will be fine. One still have to serve you. I don't need it. Xiao Yu glanced at Xiao Si, and the hair on Xiao Si's back stood up. He quickly ran to send Su Miaoyan off. It had been a long time since she had seen the young master exuding such a fiery aura. Everything had changed because he had come to Jiangdu City and met the Su family sisters. Su Miaoyan had just left when Xiao Yu received a letter from his father. It was a secret letter, sandwiched in a neatly written letter from home, but there was also a piece of paper without words. Xiao Yu cleared the people at the door and took the piece of paper to the table. He opened the drawer and took out a little blue powder. He sprinkled it into the candle flame, and the flame instantly turned from red to blue. This was the way he communicated with his father. There were always some secrets that he had to ensure no one knew. Only those who wanted to see them could see them. Under the blue flames, a line of words appeared on the blank paper and quickly disappeared. Xiao Yu threw the paper into the flames, and it was swallowed by the flames, turning into ashes. However, he could see the line of words on it. His eyes, which had brightened because of Su Miaoyan, instantly dimmed. That sentence flashed through his mind. He had to marry Su Yingxue. At the marquisdom, Su Miaoyan jumped out of the car and rushed in to look for Su Yingxue. She grabbed the people at home and asked, "Where's Sister Xue? Where is she? One want to settle the score with her." Humph. She left her alone in Qilin Garden and came back just like that. This was too much. The servant replied, "Eldest young miss is in the front hall, but Miss Miaoyan, it's better if you don't go now." Su Miaoyan didn't hear the last part of the sentence as she grabbed her dress and rushed towards the front hall. She could hear Su Qingzi's voice coming from inside. "You brought your sister out and didn't care about her safety. You only cared about yourself. Is this how a legitimate daughter of the Marquis Manor and an elder sister should behave?" All right. She was being questioned by her grandfather. It was exactly what she wanted. Su Miaoyan jumped in and exacerbated the situation. Exactly. Sister Xue brought me there but didn't bring me back. I waited for you for so long. You're really... Before Su Miaoyan could finish her words, she was stunned when she saw Su Qingzi's angry face. "Grandpa, are you really angry?" She had thought that her grandfather was just asking a random question and that she was here to ease the atmosphere. However, she did not expect her grandfather to be so angry. His face was tense. Su Yingxue pulled her in front of her and whispered, "One left someone waiting for you in the garden. He was sent back and said that he didn't see you. Where did you go?" "What? Didn't wander off. I've been with handsome brother this whole time. He was reading while one practiced calligraphy. When he sent someone to look for you, I was having dinner with him. Didn't you leave me behind?" "What do you mean throw away? Who would throw away a pig that has been fed for over 10 years? What a waste of food." Chapter 657. Su Qingji objected to her and Chu Yihan. "You're the pig." Su Miaoyan was so angry that she wanted to fight with Su Yingxue. But why were Su Yingxue's words so different from her experience in Qilin Garden? When did Su Yingxue leave? She left someone to pick her up. Why didn't handsome brother tell her? Could it be that the people Su Yingxue left behind were lazy? "All right," Su Qingji said before she could figure out the problem. "Since you're back, you should go back and rest early. Grandpa and Sister Shui still have things to discuss." Su Qingji chased Su Miaoyan back. Su Miaoyan vaguely felt that Su Qingji wanted to settle scores with Su Yingxue. She tugged at Su Yingxue's sleeve and whispered with concern, "What happened? Aren't you with Ninth Prince today? Why would Grandpa be angry with you?" Su Yingxue knocked her head. "It's none of your business. Go back and sleep." "Then do you want to help?" "No, go back." Su Yingxue pushed Su Miaoyan out. Su Miaoyan was a smart person, but her matters were not something she could interfere with. Su Miaoyan was very worried but still obediently left. Once she left, there was only Su Qingji and Su Yingxue left in the hall. Previously, Su Qingji had been looking for other things to blame Su Yingxue for because he did not know how to bring it up. However, things had dragged on until now. Even if he dragged it on, he had to ask, "Yingxue, tell Grandpa honestly. What happened between you and Ninth Prince today?" The way the two of them interacted did not seem like the first day they were together. That kind of intimacy, even if they had been married for many years, they might not have such deep feelings. Su Yingxue took a deep breath and opened her eyes again. When she looked at Su Qingji, her eyes were very honest. "Grandpa, you just want to hear the truth, right?" The truth was already clear in Su Qingzi's heart. But if Su Yingxue said it out loud, Su Qingzi's eyes darkened. "Tell me." Su Yingxue lifted her skirt and knelt in front of Su Qingji. She told him in a firm tone, "Grandpa, one like Ninth Prince. We love each other." Su Qingji was shocked. He did not expect Su Yingxue to be so calm. He even wanted to ask, "Why? Why?" Su Yingxue blinked in confusion. "Do you need a reason to like someone? If it were anyone else, they wouldn't need it. However, do you know that Chu Yihan was the son the late emperor valued the most? He was the emperor's younger brother, and he was the Ninth Prince, who held great power." "Of course I know." Su Yingxue's eyes were clear. "You don't know." Su Qingji slammed the table and stood up. "Your sister Su Han is such a smart person, but she married someone else. How long have you known Ninth Prince? How can you say such words so confidently? Do you know what the Ninth Prince thinks?" Su Yingxue answered with certainty, "He must be too. Grandpa, he likes me. Otherwise, why would he think of all the ways to get you back? Come and propose marriage." These words were embarrassing, and Su Yingxue's face turned red. After Su Qingji heard this, he snorted coldly. If one had known that he was planning this, one would have been delayed for a year and a half to get back home. It would allow Su Yingxue to grow up a little more and also allow her to see Chu Yihan more clearly. However, he did not expect this. "Grandpa, don't you admire your Highness' character? Why do you feel so disgusted when you hear about us? Your Highness is not a bad person." Chapter 658. Oppose marriage. Su Yingxue knelt on the ground, utterly puzzled. She remembered that her grandfather rarely mentioned any heroes when she was young. Among the few times he did, Chu Yihan was mentioned, and his grandfather spoke of Chu Yihan as a great hero of the time. The respect in his words was akin to wanting to be brothers with him. But why did it seem that when it came to her grandfather regarded Chu Yihan with suspicion, as if he were a villain? Grandfather may admire him, but this Ninth Prince has his eyes on you. This left Su Qingji perplexed. Setting aside the fact that Chu Yihan was over 10 years older than Su Yingxue if they had married earlier, their daughter would have been as old as Su Miaoyan. Considering Chu Yihan's grip on power, his deep-seated enmity, and boundless ambitions, how could he be considered faithful? Su Yingxue's temperament was akin to Long Shu's, which, in the eyes of their circle, was considered rebellious. What about gender equality? Long Shuli advocated for it, and Su Yingxue lived by it. She provided free medical care for female patients on the 1st and 15th of every month, which was evident. However, with her temperament, how could he feel at ease with her marrying Chu Yihan? It might be better to marry someone like Su Dingheng, a waste of space, for a more worry-free life. Su Yingxue sensed Su Qingzi's dilemma. He seemed to have many unspoken thoughts, unsure how to express them. She gently reasoned, "Grandfather, if you understand your highness, you would know he's not a bad person. If I'm with him, wouldn't there be no harm?" "How can there be no harm?" Su Qingji immediately widened his eyes. "If there's no harm, how did you become enemies with the Empress? Why do the 3rd prince and the 7th prince despise you so? What about noble consort Xiao and the Xiao family? You've thrown yourself into the heart of the storm." Back then her mother, Long Shuli, couldn't escape unscathed. And now, here she was. Su Qingji pressed his forehead, feeling increasingly annoyed at the thought. He had only wanted Su Yingxue to live out her days in peace and happiness. If only she had learned a fraction of her mother's wisdom, she would have been an exceptional woman. But he hadn't expected her to learn almost all of it. Su Yingxue instantly dared not argue with Su Qingji. Indeed, experience counts for much. Grandfather's gaze was piercing. No matter what she said, she seemed powerless. "But, grandfather, given the situation, with all the enmity that's already arisen, shouldn't we just accept it? Why not allow your highness and me to be together, and I'll ask him to propose?" Su Yingxue boldly suggested to Su Qingji. Su Qingji placed his hands on his hips, silent for a moment. Then, turning to Su Yingxue, he said, "No. Grandfather does not agree to you marrying him." "Grandfather?" Su Yingxue was anxious. She stood up and walked to Su Qingzi's side. "Grandfather, your highness and I truly love each other. Your highness has been preparing for a long time. I want to marry him." "Su Yingxue, you're a young lady, yet all you talk about is marriage. Aren't you ashamed?" Su Qingji widened his eyes and glared at Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue shook her head. "What's there to be ashamed of? It's a matter of mutual consent." When brother and sister-in-law were engaged, he was very straightforward. He said he would only marry sister-in-law. Didn't grandfather agree? Su Qingji choked. "Your brother? It was too rash." Su Hao was mature, sensible, and made his own decisions regarding his marriage. Su Qingji wouldn't interfere. But now, Su Yingxue was bringing it up. Su Qingzi's expression turned stern. "If you say another word, I'll reject your brother's marriage too. They're only engaged, not married yet. Your brother still has to guard the border for 2 more years." Chapter 659. Not allowing her and Chu Yihan grandfather. Su Yingxue couldn't understand. "There's no why. Although grandfather is getting old and you have control over the Marquis manor, grandfather can still decide on your marriage." Su Qingji didn't give Su Yingxue a reason, but his refusal was evident, casting a shadow over Su Yingxue's heart. How should she tell Chu Yihan? Would he be angry at grandfather? No matter how her marriage with Chu Yihan went, she still had to treat Xiao Yu and work with him. Su Yingxue had originally thought that if she left Su Miaoyan behind, this young girl would throw a tantrum or something. However, the next day when she boarded the carriage to the Xiao family, Su Miaoyan still followed her. Su Yingxue pinched her tender face. "Didn't you say I'd leave you behind and never go out with me again? You came up quite quickly." Su Miaoyan also reached out to pinch her. "One was afraid you'd be feeling terrible by yourself, so one came to keep you company. After all, grandfather rejected your marriage with the 9th prince, so you must be feeling terrible." The strength in Su Yingxue's hand lessened as she gently pressed on Su Miaoyan's face with her fingertips. "You're thoughtful. Who asked you to be my sister? Moreover, when I went out today, one brought Jalan to teach the servants in the courtyard a lesson. Their mouths are hateful. Su Miaoan's small face puffed up, and her eyes were extremely lively and agile. What happened with the servants? Su Yingxue hadn't been paying attention to these things for the past 2 days. It came from Su Jingshuan's courtyard. They say you don't know your limits when it comes to interacting with men. You always run outside and show your face in public. You don't have the reserved demeanor of a young lady of the Marquis Manor. I'm afraid you'll ruin the reputation of all the young ladies of the Marquis Manor, Su Miaoyan said. Su Yingxue scoffed. Su Jinxian is also very skilled at using these women's methods. Sister Shui, don't look down on a man using such methods. It shows how meticulous his thoughts are. This is a rumor that has spread from our residence. If outsiders hear it, won't it be confirmed? Moreover, one have been staying in the Marquis Manor these days. If these words are spread and my mother hears them, she will come and take me away. At that time, won't you be isolated and helpless? Su Miaoan's eyes seemed serious. Isolated and helpless? It seems you still value yourself very much and can help me a lot. Su Yingxue smiled and scratched Su Miaoan's nose. Her smiling face seemed to have magic, making people feel good when they saw it. Of course, in your eyes in the residence. Besides, with my identity, Su Jinxian can't touch me. I can still help you and keep an eye on handsome brother. Su Miaoyan blinked her eyes. Don't you want to see ninth prince after treating handsome brother today? Su Yingxue's thoughts were right. She rubbed Su Miaoan's head and followed her to see Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu was much more proficient in business than Su Yingxue. He would decide on the shop fronts and medical channels within a few days. In Jiangdu City, he decided on 4 clinics as a trial. Su Yingxue recommended Manager Qi as the person in charge. She had already asked Manager Qi to gather the doctors. Many folk doctors in the Great Qing dynasty had come because of her reputation. Now, there were already many famous doctors in her clinic. Xiao Yu said that he wanted to meet these doctors with her and then discuss other matters regarding the clinic. Chapter 660, Tricking Saint Juan. Furthermore, Xiao Yu suggested to her, since you have the intention of opening a clinic specifically for female patients, you should cultivate a group of female doctors. Nowadays, there are very few women who study medicine. I'm afraid there are even fewer who receive support from their families. Su Yingxue had considered this before, but implementing it was challenging. We can establish a specialized female medical school and appoint someone to teach. With you as a role model, women all over the world will strive to emulate, showing that women can also have their careers. Xiao Yu said. Despite his ailing appearance, his words were admirable. Su Yingxue smiled. Young Master Xiao is indeed exceptional. No wonder your business is flourishing. Everyone does their best, and everything has its purpose, Xiao Yu admitted frankly. He was simply pragmatic. When it came to matters concerning his interests, he naturally thought more about them. But the candidates to train female doctors, it is difficult for women to learn medicine. Even if I teach it personally, I'm afraid many people will give up halfway. Su Yingxue knocked on the table. She had tried before, but learning medicine was a long and arduous journey. She was still learning. It was even more difficult for some girls to start from scratch. What kind of obsession could keep them learning? You don't have to teach me personally. There's a very practical method. Xiao Yu suggested, let Saint Juan teach the female students for you. Saint Juan? Su Yingxue's immediate reaction was to shake her head. You know he practices both medicine and poison, but you're unaware he's a womanizer. Wouldn't that potentially lead him to harm female students? Su Yingxue's statement was somewhat exaggerated. In reality, Saint Juan had already been reprimanded by her mother and had changed his ways. She had almost fatally poisoned Saint Juan, knowing he wouldn't prey on women again. He's already 70 years old and has long lost interest in women, Xiao Yu asserted confidently. How do you know? He frequents your medicine hut. You're already a striking beauty, yet he shows no signs of attraction towards you, Xiao Yu observed. Having encountered Saint Juan only once, He noticed the absence of any romantic interest from him towards Su Yingxue. This led him to conclude that Saint Juan was indeed advanced in age, and thus, not interested in such pursuits anymore. Supporting her chin with her hand, Su Yingxue smiled knowingly. Young Master Xiao, you're quite perceptive and astute. If I didn't possess these abilities, you wouldn't have considered collaborating with me. Since it's a partnership, I see no need to hide this from you. I suggested Saint Juan train female doctors because he won't harbor romantic intentions towards them. Moreover, his altered appearance is enough to captivate female students and encourage them to attend his classes. But wouldn't leading female students astray still be considered a wrongdoing? Su Yingxue expressed concern. She wasn't worried about Saint Juan trying to seduce female students, but rather the possibility of female students attempting to seduce him. In the event he grew tired of such advances and resorted to poison, the consequences would be dire for the female students. Not at all. His age will be clearly stated on the enrollment forms before admission. While the girls may be drawn to his appearance, they won't be foolish enough to pursue a lifelong commitment with him, Xiao Yu reassured, growing increasingly composed. Indeed. What woman would be so foolish as to persist in seducing a 70-year-old man? Paul said. On this matter, Su Yingxue and Xiao Yu had reached a temporary agreement. Despite the somewhat deceptive nature of their plan, Su Yingxue resolved to deceive Saint Juan first in order to achieve her lofty aspirations. After concluding their discussion, Su Yingxue made preparations to depart. During their deliberations, Su Miaoyan obediently refrained from interrupting them. She occupied herself alone in the Fenghua garden, occasionally joining Chu Jinling to fly kites. Chapter 661. Black-bellied Xiao Yu seeing Su Yingxue's arrival, Su Miaoyan still held a kite. She winked at her. Sister, go ahead. I'll wait for you here. Just don't forget to come back and pick me up. Su Yingxue held her little face and rubbed it against her. Okay, when we get back, I'll have someone make you green plum cakes to eat. Good. Su Miaoyan's crisp and sweet laughter reached Xiao Ye's ears. He looked at Xiao Si. Green plum cakes? What? Young master, what did you say? Green plum cakes. Xiao Si saw Xiao Ye's gaze fall on Su Miaoyan and suddenly understood that this was Su Miaoyan's favorite. Goodness, his young master's hearing was so good. He wanted to hear it just now, but he didn't hear it. Xiao Si's admiration for Xiao Yu increased a little. Su Miaoyan held a kite in her hand and ran towards Xiao Yu with a smile. Handsome brother, the weather is so good today. Let's go to Fenghua Garden to fly kites. We can fly them high there. Xiao Yu wanted to agree but heard Su Miaoyan say, Can you let Xiao Si bring another kite? The 9th prince is still waiting for me. Let's fly them together. This sentence caused Xiao Ye's expression to change instantly. He put his clenched fist to his mouth and coughed lightly. I won't go. What's wrong? Handsome brother, are you not feeling well? Su Miaoyan squatted in front of Xiao Yu with concern. Xiao Si looked at his young master who was perfectly fine. He said with a regretful expression, Sigh, the young master is sick all year round and rarely goes out to play. Miss Miaoyan doesn't know how hard it is for the young master. Since you want to play with the 9th prince, go ahead. Xiao Yu rubbed Su Miaoyan's head and said gently. Su Miaoyan exclaimed, Then I'll accompany you, handsome brother. The 9th prince can play alone. I'll get some colored paper and fold paper cranes for you. Su Miaoyan ran out in small steps. The sunlight danced on her body, and the mottled light and shadow made her glow like a jumping elf. Xiao Ye's eyes, which had always been calculating, had a touch of brilliance. At the 9th prince's mansion, Su Yingxue recalled being taken away without explanation by her grandfather yesterday. Chu Yihan must have felt terrible, so she secretly wanted to give him a surprise. Just as she was about to rush into Chu Yihan's study, Emochi told her, Miss Su, your highness has something important to discuss. Why don't you wait a minute? Although he had never made Su Yingxue wait, the situation was serious this time, and Emochi didn't dare to let her in. Moreover, Su Yingxue probably wouldn't be happy to see the people inside. Su Yingxue felt a little disappointed, but she still knew the big picture. She said, Then I'll wait for your highness in the front hall. Emochi smiled. I'll inform you immediately after your highness is done talking. Su Yingxue strolled to the front hall. The old steward entertained her and laid out a dazzling array of tea and snacks. Miss Su, your highness prepared these long ago. Take a look and see if they suit your taste. If you don't like them, I'll have another chef prepare something for you next time. The old steward's smile was very kind and made Su Yingxue feel warm. Su Yingxue's eyes curved. Thank you. She could tell that these were all carefully prepared and tasted very good. The old steward was afraid she would be bored alone, so he even brought out a variety of designs for her to choose from. These are all prepared for your highness' wedding. These are the patterns of silk flowers, the word happiness, and red silk. Take a look and see which ones you like. You chose them yourself, and your highness will surely like them too. Chapter 662. I. See the Honglian again. Su Yingxue looked at these meticulously prepared items and was deeply moved. Even though her grandfather had always opposed her marriage to Chu Yihan had given her confidence. She focused on choosing with the steward, and the household servants also contributed many ideas. She was so absorbed in her selection that she didn't notice someone approaching. When Hong Lian saw how harmonious Su Yingxue was with the 9th Prince's mansion servants, she couldn't help but feel jealous. She had visited the 9th Prince's mansion more times and had known your highness longer. Why was Su Yingxue ultimately receiving this honor? Miss Su, what brings you here without an invitation? Hong Lian chuckled. Even if Chu Yihan had shown interest in her, she wouldn't let Su Yingxue off easily. Su Yingxue raised her head slightly, a trace of surprise flashing in her eyes. Hong Lian, was she the one discussing important matters with Chu Yihan? Hong Lian's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Surprised to see me, Miss Su? Do you think I would leave your highness just like that, never to interact with him again? Su Yingxue smirked. Fine, this was a provocation. She held the red silk in her hand and smiled. Of course, one wouldn't think that. After all, dogs are hard to shake off. Su Yingxue, are you calling me a dog? Hong Lian's voice became sharp. Isn't that what you are? Can't you see that all these things in the 9th Prince's mansion were prepared for my wedding with your highness? Su Yingxue shrugged, kindly reminding Hong Lian. Wedding? You're being too simplistic. Considering your highness' status, why would he hastily decide on such an important matter? It's not up to you to decide. Hong Lian stared proudly. Even though she had suffered a major loss at Su Yingxue's hands, it wouldn't deter her. She knew Chu Yihan. Marrying someone wasn't that easy. And he was marrying Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue couldn't be bothered to argue with her. Hong Lian's words were just nonsense. Hong Lian, why are you here drinking water? Emochi hurried over. Seeing him, Hong Lian deliberately softened her tone. Your highness must be anxiously waiting for me, right? I'll go immediately. Emochi thought this wasn't good. He hadn't let Su Yingxue in earlier because he was afraid she would get upset seeing Hong Lian. But now, the two of them, Su Yingxue didn't argue with Hong Lian or make things difficult for Emochi. Since your highness is busy, you can go ahead. I'll wait for him. Thank you, Miss Su. Emochi breathed a sigh of relief and quickly escorted Hong Lian away. His expression darkened. Hong Lian, have you forgotten the lesson your highness taught you? Miss Su is about to enter the 9th Prince's mansion and become the future 9th Princess Consort. You are not allowed to offend her again. Emochi had made a mistake once, and he wouldn't let it happen again. Hong Lian glared at Emochi. You're just a subordinate. Even your highness hasn't said anything. How dare you speak nonsense? Are you sure your highness will marry Su Yingxue? What gives you the right? Emochi reminded her out of goodwill, but Hong Lian treated him like a donkey's liver and lungs. He laughed in anger. Fine, I'm talking nonsense. Don't you know where you stand in front of your highness? Let me tell you, whoever your highness wants to protect is who the entire 9th Prince's mansion wants to protect. If you dare offend Miss Su, the entire 9th Prince's mansion won't let you off. Chi said fiercely and headed to the study first. In his eyes, he was no longer infatuated with Hong Lian. Hong Lian was slightly stunned. But didn't he used to? Chi had fallen in love with her at first sight and had always treated her well. Even if she liked your highness, Chi had helped her a few times. Why was he treating her like this now? Chapter 663. Anger Hong Lian. Was it all because of Su Yingxue? Hong Lian's hatred towards Su Yingxue deepened even further. Su Yingxue, even Chi respects and values you. I won't let you off easy. She deliberately lingered a bit longer in Chu Yihan's study room. Let Su Yingxue wait. After patiently waiting for 2 hours, Su Yingxue approached the study room. Upon hearing no conversation inside, she asked Chi, have they finished their confidential discussion? Can I go in now? Chi nodded. Miss Su, feel free to enter. Previously he was concerned about her encountering Hong Lian and getting upset. Now that she knew Hong Lian was there was no need to conceal it. Chu Yihan had also mentioned that Su Yingxue could enter her study room as she pleased. Before Su Yingxue entered, Hong Lian had just brewed tea. She brought it to Chu Yihan and said shyly, Your Highness, have a taste of my... Your Highness? Su Yingxue pushed the door open and hurried to Chu Yihan's side, displacing Hong Lian. Su Yingxue, you did that intentionally. Hong Lian spilled the tea she was holding onto her hand, scalding her fair fingers red. Su Yingxue tilted her head and glanced at her. Oh, I did it intentionally. Who told you to get close to your highness? I haven't even made tea for your highness to drink. Su Yingxue was openly throwing a tantrum in front of Chu Yihan. Chu Yihan quickly stood up and assessed her. Are you all right? Did you get scalded by the tea? Su Yingxue shook her head. No. Your highness, have you finished your discussion with the pavilion master Hong Lian? One also have something important to discuss with you. Hong Lian sneered disdainfully. What important matter could Miss Su have? I'm afraid you can't do anything about what I've discussed with your highness. Chu Yihan looked at Hong Lian coldly, his words piercing. Shut up. Hong Lian bit her lip angrily. Su Yingxue chuckled. She knew it. She brought out 2 silk flowers from behind her back with both hands. Your highness, these are the patterns the steward asked someone to make. Which one do you think looks better? Is this the important matter you mentioned? Hong Lian seethed with anger. However, Chu Yihan looked at the 2 flowers in her hands seriously. He held her right hand and made his choice. This one. All right, I'll inform the steward that we'll use this type of silk flower for our wedding. Su Yingxue's smile became even more radiant under the red silk. Su Yingxue had been provoked by Hong Lian earlier, and now she was retaliating. Pavilion Master Hong Lian, one have something important to discuss with your highness. Why are you so blind? Are you trying to hinder us? Hong Lian gritted her teeth. Hong Lian is tired from the long journey. One wonder if you can rest in the prince's mansion for a while and have a meal before leaving? Given her status, it would be petty of Chu Yihan to reject her. He looked at the woman in his arms and said softly, You decide, my future princess. Pavilion Master Blanc Lian is a guest. How can your highness refuse her to stay in the prince's mansion and enjoy a meal? Su Yingxue smiled. I'll have the steward prepare it immediately. Chu Yihan rubbed her head. All right, go ahead. It wasn't enough for her to go alone. She had to drag Hong Lian along. From Chi to the steward, everyone in the prince's mansion seemed to acknowledge Su Yingxue as their future mistress, causing Hong Lian's eyes to turn red with jealousy. The steward mentioned that he had prepared a sumptuous dinner for Hong Lian and invited her to dine. However, Hong Lian declined, saying, There's no rush. She provocatively raised her eyebrows at Su Yingxue. Miss Su is fortunate to be acknowledged by everyone in the prince's mansion. However, there must be someone here who doesn't submit to Miss Su, right? Chapter 664. Let's see who can conquer Shan Bao No. Su Yingxue had not yet spoken when Chu Yihan spoke on her behalf. In Chu Yihan's place, no one could disobey Su Yingxue. Hong Lian, don't ask for trouble. Otherwise, Mo-chi kindly reminded her, but Hong Lian not only didn't appreciate it but also glared at him. If you want help me, then keep quiet. You don't know what's good for you. Mo-chi snorted in frustration. He couldn't convince Hong Lian to give up on your highness, but preventing her from clashing with Su Yingxue was for her good. Yet she dared to tell him to shut up. Then he would indeed remain silent. Su Yingxue knew that Hong Lian was not convinced. She smiled and asked, "Does Pavilion Master Hong Lian think there's anyone else in the residence who doesn't accept me?" Hong Lian curled her lips inwardly. "Your Highness has a pet at the frontier fortress. Is tall and mighty. Now that he's brought it back to Jiangdu City, I wonder if Miss Su has seen it? Are you referring to Shanbao?" Su Yingxue chuckled softly, lowering her head. A hint of surprise flashed in Hong Lian's eyes. Did Chu Yihan let her encounter Shanbao? That white tiger was a rare sight. However, Hong Lian was certain that even if Su Yingxue had seen Shanbao, it would have been with Chu Yihan. She couldn't tame Shanbao. Shanbao was very intelligent. Apart from Chu Yihan, whom she had met a few years ago, Shanbao had never attacked her. No one else could get close to Shanbao. Su Yingxue? Miss Su, do you dare to come with me to see Shanbao and see if it will obey you? Hong Lian raised her eyebrows provocatively, her bright red eyebrows like a cluster of flames. Why not? Su Yingxue chuckled. Chu Yihan looked down at her. Aren't you afraid of it? Su Yingxue shook her head. If Chu Yihan hadn't placed Shanbao outside the study room that night, she might still be afraid. However, after that night she had already figured out Shanbao's temperament. This tiger was very intelligent and sharp. Su Yingxue asked the steward to bring a bucket of meat over. She planned to go to Tiger Mountain with Hong Lian. Hong Lian glanced at Chu Yihan and said softly, "Shanbao was raised by your highness. If your highness goes with you, it will submit to him." It meant that if Su Yingxue stood beside Chu Yihan to tease Shanbao, it would listen. Su Yingxue's eyes curved into crescents. Pavilion Master Hong Lian is confident in yourself. Where did this woman get the confidence to think that she would not be bitten by Shanbao? Because she was pretty? Su Yingxue felt that she was not someone who liked to look in the mirror every day. She should give her a self-portrait. He wanted her to compare more often to see the difference. However, she still had to help Hong Lian with something like slapping her face. She pulled Chu Yihan's hand and shook it. "Your Highness, wait for me at the foot of Tiger Mountain. I'm going to find Shanbao to play with." "Miss Su, Shanbao is fierce and has a temper. Let your Highness accompany you." The old steward couldn't help but worry. Mo-chi also felt the same way. With your Highness around, Shanbao will not misbehave. If Hong Lian and Su Yingxue got together and angered Shanbao, then a tiger's temper would be worse than a human's. I'm not afraid. Let's see if Pavilion Master Hong Lian is afraid. If she is, it's not too late to eat now. Su Yingxue pretended to be relaxed, which aroused Hong Lian's fighting spirit even more. Even Miss Su isn't afraid, so how can I, Hong Lian, be afraid? Very good. Su Yingxue and Hong Lian each carried a bucket of meat and went to Tiger Mountain. Chu Yihan and Mo-chi watched from the foot of the mountain. The steward was worried. Shanbao must behave. Don't let Miss Su get hurt. Chapter 665. Shanbao with a temper. Mo-chi was also trembling slightly. It better not throw a tantrum. He had been feeding Shanbao for over a year and had tried to play around with him, but Shanbao didn't give him any face at all. If he hadn't run away quickly, he would have ended up feeding Shanbao one of his arms. This tiger had quite a temper. Among the three of them, Chu Yihan was the most composed. He knew very well that the night Su Yingxue managed to get past Shanbao and reach his study, she had already gained Shanbao's approval. But he found her jealousy towards Hong Lian because of him quite beautiful. Chu Yihan gazed at Su Yingxue's retreating figure, and the corners of his mouth involuntarily curled upwards. Tiger Mountain was steep and treacherous, with plenty of sand and gravel making the path difficult to navigate. And Shanbao was nowhere to be found. It was waiting for its dinner, its white belly already turned upwards. Shanbao? Shanbao? Someone was calling it. Su Yingxue and Hong Lian called out from opposite sides of Tiger Mountain. Su Yingxue observed the claw marks on the ground and speculated that Shan Bao was waiting in a nearby cave, so she tossed a piece of meat onto the ground. Shan Bao emerged at the scent of meat. When it saw Su Yingxue, its tiger face drooped. This woman again. Shan Bao, come and eat. Su Yingxue waved at Shan Bao in a friendly manner. Shan Bao scraped the ground with its left paw. It wasn't too keen to approach, but the meat smelled very enticing. Su Yingxue, what do you think Shan Bao is? He's the king of beasts, a white tiger rarely seen in 100 years. Even your highness had a hard time bringing him back when he first encountered him. But you're feeding him like this. What do you take him for? Hong Lian sneered behind Su Yingxue, her eyes filled with contempt. Su Yingxue found it amusing. Then how should I feed him? Should I feed myself to him? Of course, we should show him respect. Hong Lian had tamed many wild beasts, including lions and tigers. She had also fed Shan Bao before. Confidently, she approached Shan Bao, squatted down, mumbled something, and then reached out to stroke Shan Bao's head. As her hand gently touched Shan Bao's head, she turned back to Su Yingxue, smirking. See that? Shan Bao understands human nature. He chooses who it allows to get close to it. You'd better be careful. Just as Su Yingxue finished speaking, Shan Bao suddenly opened its mouth and roared at Hong Lian. If Hong Lian hadn't reacted quickly with her lightness skill, her hand would have been in Shan Bao's mouth by now. Hong Lian was greatly surprised. How could this happen? This was how she usually tamed tigers. Why was Shan Bao angry at her today? Look, it seems like you want to feed Shan Bao with your body, Pavilion Master. But Shan Bao isn't just any tiger. The meat is rough and he won't eat it. Su Yingxue mercilessly mocked. She pointed at the piece of meat on the ground and winked at Shan Bao. Shan Bao, eat this. It's especially for you. Shan Bao didn't move. Its wide tiger eyes kept darting back and forth between Su Yingxue and Hong Lian. Hong Lian rubbed her hands. I told you that you couldn't tame Shan Bao, but you still don't believe me? Even though it doesn't listen to me, do you think it listens to you? Su Yingxue propped up her chin, ignoring Hong Lian's words. She felt that Shan Bao wasn't unwilling to eat, but rather, it was thinking. After a moment, Shan Bao licked its paws, bypassed Hong Lian's meat bucket, walked up to Su Yingxue, and took the piece of meat she had placed on the ground into its mouth. Su Yingxue watched Shan Bao eat the meat and smiled. Such a good tiger. Chapter 666. The consequences of angering Shan Bao. Shan Bao lowered its head and ate the meat without saying a word. After finishing, it didn't even glance at Hong Lian. Su Yingxue let out a non-threatening cry, as if asking her, is there more meat? Of course, here, have some more. Su Yingxue placed the meat in front of Shan Bao piece by piece. Shan Bao sat down and leisurely ate, including pieces of ribs, which he happily gnawed on. Su Yingxue remarked, I noticed that night you enjoy bones. Next time, I'll prepare some fruits and add some seasonings. Even though you're a carnivore, you still need nutritious food. Shan Bao paused from eating, licking the meat of its mouth. It found the woman's words quite reasonable. Lately, the flesh under its belly had been a bit loose. Even regular dogs don't eat like this. Do you think Shan Bao would? Hong Lian scoffed disdainfully. She knew Shan Bao could smell. It must have caught Chu Yihan's scent on Su Yingxue, hence it ate her meat. Su Yingxue's victory wasn't exactly honorable. Unexpectedly, Shan Bao lifted its head and roared at her, teeth grinding menacingly. The fury on its tiger face made Hong Lian instinctively step back. However, Su Yingxue found it amusing. Shan Bao knows whether it likes the food or not. Pavilion Master Hong Lian, you're not its guardian. Naturally, I'll get angry if you make decisions for it, right Shan Bao? Hong Lian was already unconvinced, so Shan Bao listening to Su Yingxue was beyond her belief. But unexpectedly, Shan Bao nodded at Su Yingxue. The anger in Hong Lian's heart swelled, causing her chest to ache. After Shan Bao finished eating, it yawned and waved its claws at Su Yingxue, as if saying it wanted to rest. Goodbye. Seeing it was full and lying down, Su Yingxue feared it wouldn't digest properly. She pointed to the spot next to her and then to Shan Bao's stomach. "Come here, I'll massage you." Shan Bao was initially too lazy to move. However, it heard Hong Lian say, "Su Yingxue, you're full of yourself. Shan Bao will never listen to you." Shan Bao's ears perked up. It lazily walked to Su Yingxue's side and lay down, rolling over to expose its belly to her. Su Yingxue gently massaged Shan Bao's body. Shan Bao squinted its eyes in comfort. It seemed this woman wasn't so bad after all. Beside her, Hong Lian picked up a stone. Seeing Su Yingxue focused on massaging Shan Bao, she hurled the stone, striking Shan Bao's stomach hard. Roar! Shan Bao suddenly leaped up, causing a gust of wind that knocked Su Yingxue to the ground. Its tiger eyes widened. Roar! Su Yingxue controlled her strength well. Puzzled, she asked, "Shan Bao, what's wrong? Where does it hurt?" Shan Bao bared its teeth fiercely, its fur bristling as it emitted a low growl, its anger evident. Taking a step closer to Su Yingxue, she felt a bit nervous, but she hadn't harmed Shan Bao earlier. "Shan Bao, you won't bite me, will you?" "Huh, Su Yingxue, you've angered Shan Bao, and you still want to escape?" Hong Lian sneered triumphantly, hoping to witness Su Yingxue torn to shreds by Shan Bao. Roar! Perhaps feeling too triumphant, Hong Lian's reaction was slow. Shan Bao suddenly pounced on Hong Lian, slashing her face with its claws and sinking its teeth into her. "Oh!" The woman's scream pierced the sky. "Oh no! Miss Su!" The steward's legs trembled in fear. Chapter 667. Tame with Strength. Chu Yihan had already flown up Tiger Mountain. Seeing Su Yingxue standing unharmed, he quickly hugged her. "Are you all right?" Su Yingxue pointed at Hong Lian. "She's the one who's hurt." A piece of flesh had been torn from Hong Lian by Shan Bao. She struggled desperately to escape from the tiger's mouth and ran away in a panic. Emochi shouted, "Shan Bao, don't bite her." But Shan Bao didn't listen to him at all. Chu Yihan watched as it leaped down from Tiger Mountain, about to pounce on Hong Lian. "Come back!" Chu Yihan shouted coldly. Roar! Shan Bao was slightly off course. Instead of biting Hong Lian, it raised its claws. Whoosh! Hong Lian rolled on the ground in pain, her body covered in blood. Emochi quickly tore off his clothes and helped her tie up the two large wounds. But when he saw her condition, Emochi's eyes widened. "You?" He picked up Hong Lian and turned to Chu Yihan. "Your Highness, if we don't treat her immediately, she won't survive." "Yes." Chu Yihan nodded, and Emochi immediately carried Hong Lian away for treatment. Shan Bao walked back to Chu Yihan. There was still blood at the corner of its mouth, but its expression was gloomy. Chu Yihan asked, "Who told you to do this?" Roar! Shan Bao became very obedient in front of Chu Yihan. It lay down, flipped its belly, and pointed at Chu Yihan with claws. Then, it kept looking at Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue explained, "I fed it just now and was rubbing its stomach. But for some reason, it suddenly became angry." Shan Bao's claws were placed on its stomach again. Su Yingxue squatted down and poked its paw. "Do you want me to check it for you?" Shan Bao nuzzled towards her. Su Yingxue pushed away its claws and touched its stomach. There was a small dent. She pulled away the tiger fur and took a closer look. "How dare she hurt you?" "Your Highness, look. Shan Bao is injured." Su Yingxue tugged at Chu Yihan. Chu Yihan squatted down to check. When he touched the dent in Shan Bao's stomach, the seriousness on his face softened. He rubbed Shan Bao's head. "Forget it, it's not your fault." Sob, sob, sob. Shan Bao rubbed its head against Chu Yihan's hand, feeling wronged. Wasn't this its fault? "It hurts." "Shan Bao, let me apply some on you. It won't hurt anymore." Su Yingxue scratched its chin and asked the steward to bring a sheepskin bag. She filled it with some hot water and then used it to rub Shan Bao's stomach. Roar! It let out a comfortable sigh. After Su Yingxue was done massaging it, it got up and rubbed the back of Su Yingxue's hand. Su Yingxue's eyes lit up. "Can I touch you now?" Shan Bao did not react. But when Su Yingxue touched its head, it was obedient and did not even move. Su Yingxue was very happy. It's all thanks to Pavilion Master Hong Lian. Otherwise, Shan Bao wouldn't have gotten close to me so quickly. Chu Yihan lifted a strand of hair from her cheek. You're mine, so it will naturally get close to you. However, while Su Yingxue was happy, he also reminded her, but you can't get too close to it. Why? It's a male. Shan Bao was speechless. Su Yingxue and Chu Yihan came down from Tiger Mountain. Seeing Su Yingxue safe and sound, the old steward let out a long sigh. Fortunately, Miss Su wasn't the one who was injured. It was Miss Hong Lian who was injured. Stop the bleeding in time. She won't die. Su Yingxue had witnessed the entire process and could make a certain judgment. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.